Okay. 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 Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to the January Community Board 2 full board meeting. My name is Susan Kent. I'm the chair of CB2. We're going to get started. The first item on the The first item on the agenda is an adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt? Oh, that's okay. Okay. I'm sorry. We should take an attendance first. Thank you. Please go ahead.
All right. Yes, that's what we're doing right now. Susanna Aaron? Susanna? Yes. Akila Asqui? Will Benesh? Okay. Keenberger's absent with notice tonight. Carter Booth. Katie Bordenaro? I know,
Here.
online. Anita Brandt?
Hear me?
Amy Brenner, yes. Rich Cacapolo is remote, I believe, online.
Yep, here
Rachel
online.
Chattree is not, I don't see her yet. Okay.
No, I'm here. Online.
Valerie De La Rosa? Chris Dig? Oh, she is? Okay. I didn't see her. Okay, me too. Chris
Yeah.
Dignas? Mar Fitzgerald? Stella Fitzgerald? Cormac Flynn? Susan Gamey? No. David Gruber?
修了。
Ann Hager?
Here online.
She's online? Okay. Julian Horkey? Wayne Cadwadler? Is he on the board? Zach Gazaz? Susan Kent? Ryder Kessler? Janine Kiley? Ivy Kwan Arts is remote, I believe.
Yes.
Patricia Laria? Michael Levine?
Here online.
Ed Ma is remote? Yes.
Yes.
Matt
Ed
Metzger?
Ma.
Oh, he's late. Okay. Daniel Mailer, I think you're remote.
Here, remote,
Yep.
yes.
Erica Olson? Juan Osorio? Brian Pape? Okay, can you hear me better now?
Oh,
Can I
thank
talk
you.
louder? Can you hear me now? Okay, sorry about that. Donna Raftery? Lois Rakoff? Thank you. Rola Cabono? Zach Roberts? Lucia Sands? Shirley Secunda is remote, I believe.
Yep.
Kristen Shea is remote.
Here.
Jessica Siegel? Emma Smith? Dr. Shirley Smith?
Present and online.
Remote? Okay, I haven't seen her. Chanel Spence? Is Dr. Smith on? Oh, yes, she is. Okay, got it. Chanel Spence? Susan Wittenberg? Anthony Wong? Jean Yu? Okay, we have quorum with 27 people.
Thank you. Okay, first item on is an adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt? Second? All in favor? Okay, so adopted. Next item is the public session, which will be run by first vice chair Valerie De La Rosa. One item I would like to make note of, we have many people here who are speaking about the Arts Fund. I want you to know that during business session, I am going to make a ruling on a procedural basis that element of the resolution, due to a procedural problem, is being stricken from the resolution. I cannot tell you whether or not it will be discussed during business session. The only thing, yes, it was a conflict of interest issue. I cannot tell you whether or not it will ultimately be discussed. I am just going to let you know that there will be a ruling on it during business session, so please judge accordingly.
Thank
Thank you very much. So I want to be really transparent with everyone, both here in the room and online. We have 75 people who have signed up to speak this evening. So we will be asking people out of the courtesy for your neighbors and to ensure that everyone is heard, that we will have a time limit of 1 minute for testimony this evening. Otherwise, there might be a chance that we might not be able to get everyone. So I hope that that will work for everyone. And please also submit testimony online to info@, manhattancb2.org. So with that, I'm going to call on, excuse me?
Please be quiet.
So we're going to start out with non-agenda items, and then I will move into agenda items, and then I will move on to the Arts Fund topics. So first we have John Campo. So in order so that we can go through this in a timely manner, I'm going to call on everyone that and then I will go with the exception of one agenda item that's on Zoom, and then I will go to in-person for the Arts Fund and on Zoom for the Arts Fund. So just so everyone knows. So I'm going to call on 5 names right now. So if you want to go ahead and go to the microphone, and we'll get the timer up for 1 minute. But following John Campo right here, yeah, you can go ahead and get started once the timer goes off. But I'm going to ask for the next 4 people to stand up over here and just be ready to go so we can move everyone quickly.
Just now, because we do not have enough time.
That would be 150 minutes or 2 hours. And we do have a time limit in this space. So excuse me, I'm gonna call the rest of those names. Excuse me, if you could please, thank you. I'm going to call the next 4 names to line up. So after John Campo, Rocio Sands, Darlene Lutz, Mark Fielder, Marissa Yenny, and Lois Rakoff. So John and the timer, are we aligned?
Whenever you're ready.
The timer will be over here.
I was broadsided on the bike path in June and broke 3 ribs and had other injuries. The amended law that was changed to accommodate the e-bike is not being enforced in the city. I'm a professional bike racer and a coach. I run after school.
Okay, yeah. Don't worry.
So I'm gonna just put a column here and I'll let you know that they signed up.
We're at 36 seconds. Well, if
Yeah, go ahead. We'll release. Could you just restart it to the 1 minute and we'll go?
Okay, I was broadsided on the bike path by one vehicle, broke 3 ribs, no other injuries. The amended law accommodating e-bikes is not being enforced by the city. I'm a professional bike racer. I teach bike safety to children in schools. I put on the handicapped Olympics in New York, and none of them needed an e-bike. The amended law number 40 opened up sales to all kinds of e-vehicles, skateboards, you name it. A novice can't stop a bike at that speed at 20 miles an hour or faster. Murdered the lady that was killed on Christie Street by a city bike. The big lie is that the city bike takes off at 20 miles an hour. Not true. If you haven't been hit by an e-bike lately or an e-vehicle, you soon will be. Thank you. The amended law is on there in the back.
Great. Next we have Rocio Sands. Thank you.
It's too high for me. Happy New Year, everyone. Have you made up your New Year's Eve resolutions? Thinking of our New York community, I would like to share that the iBank of New York encourages us to make our New Year's resolution commitment to give the beautiful gift of sight to our fellow New Yorkers in need by signing up on New York State Donate Life Registry to become eye, organ, and tissue donors. It only takes a minute to enroll, and some someday give the gift of sight and life. Signing up is easy. You can do it through the iBank's website, idonation.org. As New Yorkers, we all know how important it is to look out for the health and well-being of our community. There are many New Yorkers who suffer from blinding eye diseases that can only be treated with cornea transplants, and thousands or more are suffering from eye diseases that can be helped through important ocular research. To hear stories of New Yorkers whose lives were changed by the eye donation and cornea transplantation, follow the iBank of social media, iBank New York. And thank you for listening, and I hope that you all sign up. I am an ambassador to the iBank, so that's why I'm here to speak to all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next, Darlene Lutz.
Hi, everybody. Oh, am I on? Hello. Hey, everyone. Happy New Year. I am Darlene Lutz, here to remind and announce, as I do every month, to come on down to the First Precinct Community Council meeting. Our meetings are held the last Thursday of every month. This one is next Thursday, January 25th, 6 p.m. at the First Precinct, which is 16 Erickson Place. That is Varick Street, 2 blocks below Canal. I guess that's it. The Community Board 2, I should have this rehearsed. Community Board 2 is served by 4 precincts. The First Precinct has the smallest portion, and that is Soho and west of Soho to the river. So, you can meet the captain,
Thank you, Darlene.
and come with your complaints. Thank you.
Thanks so much. And then next we have Mark Fielder, then Marissa Yenny, then Lois Rakoff. And then if we want to get Brian Ullman up, Jonathan Axel. Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Happy New Year. Hi, everyone. Happy New Year. I'm Mark Fiedler. I'm resident chair of BAMRA, the Bleecker Area Merchants and Residents Association. We had a small meeting last night. We heard presentations from 2 liquor license applicants. They are Ras Plant-Based at 170 Bleecker Street, which is applying for a full license to serve liquor. They are taking over a beautifully built out space that another business could not make a go of. The other is Carroll Place on the other side of Bleecker Street, which is converting a service bar to a liquor bar in its upstairs space. If anybody would like copies of our resolutions, please let me know. I'm sorry, we unanimously approved both applications.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Mark. Marissa Yenny from DSNY.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Marissa Yanni. I'm the Manhattan Community Affairs Liaison for the Department of Sanitation. Starting March 1st, every single type of business needs to put their trash into lidded containers. My office is just letting everyone know. Enforcement will not begin until April 1st, so there will be a warning period. At the moment, the rule only applies to food-related businesses and to chain restaurants. But starting March 1st, every single type of business, regardless of what they sell or do, will have to put their trash and organic material inside a bin with a lid. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Marissa. Lois Rakoff.
Yes,
and then
hi.
if we have Brian Ullman. And sorry, Lois, 1 second. Go. And Jonathan Axel. Brian Ullman and Jonathan Axel, if you could come line up.
Okay.
And then Lois, your turn.
Thank you. I will write a full report for the Human Services Committee and for the board. And I am the CB2 rep to Gouverneur Health and Hospital. And I'm an advocate for the Gotham Judson Health Center at 34 Spring Street. You take the number 6 right to Spring Street and it's right there. It's LGBTQ primary care, provides service for and for adults 18 to 29 and children from 11 to 17. It needs a video interpreter machine, VIM, and I was going to explain it, but I'll explain it in the report. And it needs a vaccine for children. It's a refrigerator to store the vaccines that we get for immunization for children to go to public school because we have new arrivals and they need to go to public school and get immunized.
Thank you, Lois. Next is Brian Ullman, then Jonathan Axel, and then we'll go to Beth Galdieri on Zoom after these two.
Yeah, Valerie, Beth has two.
To Mr. Axel, since we're speaking on the same subject.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody.
Just the mic.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Jonathan Axel, on behalf of Gottlieb Management, speaking in regards to 22 Little West 12th Street, the dispensary. I'm here because I feel strongly that we have more than enough dispensaries in the city already. There's over, even by modest estimates, there's well over 2,000. I don't see what this would bring to the neighborhood. Furthermore, the police are unable to properly police the existing dispensaries, and this will further aggravate that problem. I think furthermore, police officials have identified a solid link between these businesses and crime and robbery that may not even be due to the drug itself, but is due to the influx of money that they bring. And I really don't see how this will help our neighborhood.
And you had stated the location for that.
That's correct.
A little West 12th, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay. I think we're trying to promote Beth Galdieri on Zoom, but she is not answering. So I'm going to move on to the next. So that concludes for public speakers on okay. Beth, if you can accept to be promoted on Zoom or be allowed, if someone could allow her to talk if she does not want to be on camera.
Yeah, can you hear me, Valerie?
Okay. She's saying she's not received anything. I can't hear. Oh, so we cannot hear on Zoom. Okay. Beth, hang in there while we work this out. I'm going to move on to the in-person next. So next we have Tony Robin, Ronnie Wolf, Emily Hellstrom, Gina Nanny, and Amit Solomon. If you could line up, and then we'll go through this round and move on to the next one. So Tony Robin, Ronnie Wolf, Emily Hellstrom, Gina Nanny, and Amit Solomon.
I'm Tony Robin. I moved into the neighborhood and bought a loft in 1971. Since then, our building has borrowed $125,000 to put in a sprinkler system, another $100,000 for the facade, and within the last 10 years, 1.7 million. This is 5 families. All that money has gone into the building. I want to say we built Soho, and we feel it's unfair to punish us for that. Secondly, how would this affect me personally? My wife has Alzheimer's. I've had cancer. If I were to die first, how would she be a member of the co-op? What would solve this problem is to have a family trust. And yet you want to charge us $300,000 as a tax, even though no money's changing really. And that is the equivalent of 500 days of what do they call it? In residence thing. So
oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear the beep.
Can't take that away.
Thank you. Sorry, I did not hear the beep. If we could just let it beep without stopping it, you can't. Okay. Next, Ronnie Wolf. Thanks.
Good evening. My name is Ronnie Wolf. I oppose the Art Fund. As a certified artist who moved into Soho in 1978, raised a family, and still makes art in my loft, I find the proposed fund to be nothing more than an egregious act of malice against the residents of Soho and NoHo by the previous Councilwoman Chin. For decades, we responsibly kept up with city building codes and poured our income into preserving our building's facade, restored and maintained the vaulted public sidewalks to the tune of millions of dollars. And yet at the same time, the city collected millions of dollars from media company and tourists who wanted to use our neighborhood as their backdrop and shop in our cool stores. I'm sickened by my neighbors who support the fund and perhaps fantasize that they and future generations will benefit from it. Don't support a fund that takes from your neighbors who have already shown their support to their neighborhood by keeping their buildings and sidewalks safe. Although property owners do pay for city services when they pay their property taxes, and they
Just wrap
also, when they sell their property, there is a transfer tax.
Thank you so much, Ronnie. So we are actually going to pause session We're actually going to pause the public session right now because Councilmember Rivera has joined us online. So we're going to pause the public session, hear from Councilmember Rivera. I'm going to turn this back over.
Hi. Hi, everyone. I just wanted to say, I know that you're in the middle of, I think there's 70 registered speakers, and I think this opportunity, the public session, is arguably, to me, the most important part of I'm sorry, yeah, I'm home, so if you hear noises, it's because I have a almost 1-year-old baby. So I would say the public session is arguably one of the most important parts of the community board. So I will be here to listen. Yanni Rodriguez from my office is also here to listen. So I did gain a larger part of community board 2 in the redrawing in terms of the census. And so I just want you all to know that I plan to work closely with you all. I'm excited about reappointing people.
Council member, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but they're having an audio problem on site, so they can't hear you.
Oh, bummer. Okay.
So everyone on Zoom could hear you. So
Right.
Yeah,
On
everyone
Zoom,
on
we
Zoom
can hear you, but in person, they cannot.
Interesting. What should I do? No, it's not a headphone thing.
No, it's an issue on their side.
I'll just give it a minute. There was just a crossover at one point. I think they're trying to, choose one or the other. I would just give them a minute.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you.
The audio, they have not been able to hear us since the meeting started, so I'm not sure that's the issue.
Oh, okay. I totally get it. I was gonna go in person too. All right. Well, that happens. Let me know if they fix it. I mean, if not, I'll come back. I can come back next month, but I'm really here to listen anyway.
If they get it fixed, I'll bring you back in.
Okay. I'll be here. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. We appreciate it.
Now we can't hear anything. Nobody's talking.
I was gonna say I can keep going, but I just anyway, everybody in the Zoom, many of you I know, I hope you'll call on my office for any sort of support. I've done 6 years on the council. I passed about 37 bills. Now I was just appointed the chair of culturals today, culturals, libraries. So that's very exciting. But in my first term, I was chair of hospitals, second term criminal justice. So I really, really want to, build on that, but also just work on things like public safety, quality of life, sanitation, transportation, especially around e-bikes and making sure we all feel safe. And just making sure that you can reach out to my office with any questions. I'm going to stop talking because they probably think I still haven't gotten the message,
yeah.
No, I think they just said they can hear you now.
We can only hope.
Hold
Can
on.
everybody?
Happy warming up in the back by doing. So thanks very much, and I hope everybody has a good evening. Any quick questions for the family? From board members only, I do not see any hands, so thank you. Is it possible for Councilmember Rivera to speak at this time?
I'm gonna try and work around. I don't understand what's going on, because it worked, but council member, can you council member, can you,
Hi, good evening.
Oh, I can hear you.
go ahead.
Please go ahead.
Is it working?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay, all right, everyone. I wrote in the chat, I know with hybrid situations, there's always technical difficulties, but I truly appreciate the accommodation. I was just at a town hall with the Assemblywoman, and I just came home to do this on Zoom because I do have a little baby at home. So I just wanted to thank everyone for being here. I saw that there were about 70 registered speakers. So I'm here to also listen to the testimony, take it very, very seriously. Biani Rodriguez, who has been the CB2 liaison, is also there in person. Many of you do know her. I wanted to say Happy New Year, I guess, though I think I'm past the limit of when you can deliver those greetings. I'm just excited to have gained in my new district more of Community Board 2. Also today, I was appointed to my new committees that include transportation and infrastructure as well as public safety, two issues that I know that Community Board 2 is incredibly passionate about. I've also been appointed the chair of culturals and libraries. It's a much longer title, but those are the sort of the main two components, ensuring that, we promote a great city and encourage citizens to get along, but also that we're focusing on our arts programming. You have the committee report. I'm not going to go too far into it, but if you don't know, I have passed quite a few bills in my tenure in the city council on everything from public housing to on housing to public safety, and also to healthcare. Recently, I hosted a rally to oppose the closing of Mount Sinai Beth Israel. They were just given a cease and desist letter by the State Department of Health. However, that fight is far, far from over. So I just want you to know that I'm here and I'm available. Again, I'll be listening to the speakers to see what the city can do to take all of these concerns very, very seriously and move forward in ensuring that everyone has access to good housing and feels like they can stay in their home and in their community. So I'm just going to keep it there since this, it kind of went a little wacky with the tech. But I really love this work. Again, this is going to be, I guess this is the new term of 2 years. I'm looking very much forward to working with Councilmember Bottcher and Councilmember Bottcher and Marte in this new term. And again, my office is open. You can come by. We are on 4th Street in Alphabet City. But whether it's through direct messages, emails, or calling my office, please feel free to reach out. And I'm very much looking forward to continuing to work with the board, but in this larger capacity. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Rivera. Do we have any quick questions from our board members? Yes, Janine, hi.
Marlena, two quick questions. As a parent yourself, I knew that the final speakers with babies are going to be kicked out when the child is 6 months old, and that headline is unfathomable to imagine. So I don't know what the city council can do to stop that. And then how can we help? I know it's not in CB2, but it's very close to us. In my Griffin State, some of the St. Bridget's, where can we bring men's clothing and so forth? I know they're not being distributed there. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those questions. I only heard a little bit of the first. What was the specific question about schools or education? I'm sorry to make you run back up.
It was about the fact that migrant seekers, people who are asylum seekers who are city shelters, who are parents, will not be kicked out right away, but just when their child is 6 months old. And what can the city council do about that?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your concern. This is such a serious issue that I know many people realize is going on, but it affects not just the new migrant families and new Yorkers that have gotten here. It also affects the people inside of our schools who have been there 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and of course the strain on resources. The first thing I would say is the whole limit on shelter stays clearly has been quite controversial. We're in the middle of something that is incredibly untenable and is very, very difficult to deal with. I think most of us, though, agree that when you're moving families from shelter to shelter, and then they will be forced to change schools, it is incredibly unstable and harmful to children ultimately. That is how I feel. So I will say that there's a few things that we're trying to do right. We're trying to get the mayor to stop doing the shelter stays, right? So we're in opposition, and the Speaker of the City Council has come out in full force on that. We're also trying to get the mayor instead to focus on a program that was actually passed into law by the council on city FEPS vouchers. That's to alleviate the strain in the shelter system by increasing vouchers so people can get into housing, which is actually much more cost effective than putting people in the shelter. When it comes to how it affects our schools, well, I will tell you that right now, how people are assigned to different schools can very much depend on the geography of the shelter that they're at. As you know, this is problematic when you're only allowed to stay there 60 days. However, I have on record in a hearing multiple times reached out to the administration to let them know that I know that you all are most of you have children or know people, or you're in neighborhoods related to school district 2. But school district 1 is actually a very interesting school district because not only does it have faculty, teachers, schools where they have many students already before this crisis sort of blew up, who speak Spanish, there are also empty seats. So we've asked why we can't try to think about where we can assign students to places where they can accommodate ESL learners, right, English as a second language, but also look to where schools can actually accommodate these students. So we're trying to use common sense to approach this issue. And of course, I've spoken to many people on the CECs about this and trying to figure out how we can do so responsibly. As for the people that you see who are going through this in a very public way, whether you see them in the train or online at St. Bridget's, it is it's a very sad situation. You could see at any time 900, 1,000 people online within hours outside of St. Bridget on East 6th Street and Avenue B. I think that many people call it a re-ticketing center. And it's actually not really a reticketing center. If 900 people show up there, I would say maybe 20 people receive a ticket to leave the city. So it's actually become a place where people are looking for a reassignment of beds. I think having one reticketing center in New York City is clearly unhelpful. I'm trying to push the city to open other reticketing centers to at least physically have a space where people can wait when it's freezing out. So if you are looking to support these individuals and bring warm clothing or try to organize, I mean, even hot coffee and hot meals have gone a long way. I know this should be the city's job. But you can reach out to my office in terms of clothing drop off. And then there's also an organization that will make sure that CB2 gets the name of, called East Village Loves, supports. It's an organization that has been doing really nice things in terms of providing services. So I'll make sure you have that information, but please call my office about any actual physical donations.
Thank you, Councilmember Rivera. I'm going to turn the mic back to our first question.
Thank you so much. So we're going to continue with the woman I had called on earlier, Beth Valdieri, who's going to speak on Zoom, and then Emily Colston, who I called on earlier, who's on Zoom, and we'll go back to the in-person. So thank you everyone for your patience. So Beth, and then
yes.
Emily.
Hi, everyone. I'm Beth Galdieri. Good evening. Thanks to the board for all your hard work. I'm with the 13 Morton Street Condo Association, of which 47 7th Avenue, a commercial space, is a condo unit. Kook Burger and Bar has applied for that space. We are unanimously opposed to that application on the basis of two considerations. One is that our very old historically landmark building just doesn't have a physical structure that can support a sports bar. We have single pane windows on Morton Street, no insulation between walls and floors. And the ceiling within the commercial space, which previously had been a regular ceiling fully insulated with noise attenuating materials, was removed by a prior commercial tenant without authorization, leaving only the brick underlayment and the wood floorboards above it. So noise carries tremendously within the building, as does vibration. It's just not a suitable physical environment. And secondly, Kook Burger and Bar, despite whatever claims they have may have made to the community members or at the CB2 committee meeting, is a sports bar, plain and simple. Multiple TVs broadcasting sports, beach rock music playing at other times, patrons shouting and cheering at sports teams, potentially rowdy, drunken behavior. We've had enough of this.
Great. Next, we're going to go online to Emily Hellstrom.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thanks so much. My name is Emily Hellstrom. I've been living in Soho for a long time. I'm raising 3 kids. Since 1996, I've been there. And we went through a very, very contentious rezoning. What we came out with was not what the community wanted and was very much against what Community Board 2 proffered as some really good ideas as to how to get more affordable housing in our community, as well as update much needed codes. However, what we also came out with was an arts fund that is really sort of vague, and also I would say gives money to like a big city pot, which is really not how we should be funding artists. There are artists in our building who, if they did sell their houses, their apartments would be in real big trouble. It would absolutely harm them immeasurably. So I just want to say we really need to look at this. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. We're going to go back to our in-person. I previously called on Tony, Gina, Nanny, Amit Solomon, someone did not put their name, so Romeo, Ben Fry, Susan Needles, Brian Chadwick, Bayhan Karan. So call your name if you could come line up, and then we'll go through. So Gina. Great. Timer.
I am a 23-year resident of 21 Bond Street. My husband and I purchased the lot. He was certified as an artist. We're an AIO building. My building is completely opposed to the sham art fund. It is a unprecedented, arbitrary, and very mean-spirited form of collective punishment. For those of you who don't know about this, if one person in your building decides to sell, they may have been previously certified or currently certified. It triggers a conversion that forces everyone to cough, in our case, over $300,000 per floor. Most people that live in artist buildings are middle class. We are not billionaires. Billionaires don't live in artist buildings. So that means it's taking away your children's college fund. It's taking away your retirement fund. I also have worked with many of the city. Anyway.
Thank you so much. Next we have Amit Solomon.
Thank you. I urge you to support Councilmember Marta's initiative to eliminate the arts funds through the city of Yes. Why? First, the arts fund is structured as a penal. It must be paid in full up front. Then you have to go through a lengthy and unnecessary physical conversion. And if it's delayed or unapproved, you don't get your money back and you're left with nothing. Second, the arts fund will not go to Soho. CB2. The DCP said it will go to the Lower Manhattan Community Council, which spends the money on Governor's Island. So why would the people in this community have to pay, and not maybe Billionaires Row or Tribeca or some other neighborhoods for a citywide cultural project? Third, the settlement that coalition reached with the city does not absolve people from paying it, unlike what some people presented here. And fourth, I'd like to protest that certain board members that could represent this community that's most affected by this were told that
Thank you
they
very much.
voted out.
Move on to the next person. do we have Romeo? Is this Romeo standing up here? Okay, sorry, I'm sorry, it just says it is not constitutional, so I don't have a name.
Oh, my name is Karen Drive Romeo. I moved with my husband and daughter into 90 Prince Street in 1995. We are on the board of directors of that building. That building supports Christopher Marte's motion, opposes the Arts Fund fee, which would hurt everybody in that building very much. When I moved in 1995, our taxes were $6,000 a year. Now they're $20,000 a year. We also pay for all the upgrades on the building that meet local law 11. As previous speakers said, we've poured thousands of dollars into our building for improvements. And the Arts Fund will not only charge $100 a square foot to people, but that collects interest. If you don't pay it, the interest increases.
Thank you very much. Next, we're gonna move on to Susan Needles. Susan, if you'll just come up and go and speak through the applause so we can continue moving on.
Okay, my name is Beyhan Karahan. I'm an architect and painter. I live in Seoul for over 30 years. I have paid and so restored just not for my building, but many of them in Soho. And to my understanding is an architect, this proposal has nothing to do with public health and safety. Many multi-million transactions take place in our city. Why should we or our children be asked to pay for that fund? I gratefully request that this proposal be turned down. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And next we have Susan Needles, Brian Chadwick, then Rhonda Roland Shearer, Michael McGuigan, and Allison Jones. So if you could come line up. Thank you.
Like
Go
this,
ahead.
okay? Okay. Hello, my name is Susan Needles. My husband and I have lived in the loft.
Hold it a little closer.
There, this here? Okay, sorry. My name is Susan Needles. My husband and I have owned and lived in a loft on Green Street for 33 years, and before that in NoHo for 8 years. I'm a member of the steering committee of the Coalition for Fairness in Soho and NoHo. I want to thank Ms. Marte for championing and support our efforts. And I want to thank profusely Amit Solomon, the tireless leader of the coalition. The arts community is onerous, prejudicial, and preposterous. No other neighborhood in New York City is subject to such punishment. My husband and I are professionals, but we are not young. Like many in our neighborhood, we would like to continue to age in place in our law, but know that sometime before 2030 or so, we'll need to go into assisted living or long-term care facility. The idea is we will have to lower the selling price of our law by approximately $200,000 or pay a fee of $200,000 is shocking and scary. That's a few years of comfort, gone, just gone.
Thank you. Next, we're going to move on to Brian Chadwick, then Rhonda Roland Shearer, Michael McGuigan, Allison Jones, and Margot.
Yeah, thank you. Let's imagine you go to the San Gennaro Festival, right? And you go and with the balloons. And he says, if you pay me $5, I'll give you free darts. If you pop the balloon, you get the big teddy bear. And you think, well, that's a pretty decent investment. I'll do it. And let's just say the darts represent zero. You're not the fact that you're a certified artist. You throw the darts with the balloon, and he goes, holy shit, you won. You get the big teddy. But sorry, can't take the teddy unless you give the other $5. What do you mean? That's crazy. Sorry. And you can't give it to your daughter unless you pay me $5. And if you simply want to stand here and hold on to the teddy, you still have to pay $5. Well, that's extortion. Yeah, well, the other thing is you didn't follow the rules. What rules? Well, you leaned over like this. Well, you didn't enforce those rules while I was leaning over. You never said anything. You're only saying it now that I've won. That's called extortion. It's called extortion. And
Next,
nobody in the city.
we're going to move on. Thank you very much. Thank you. We're going to move on. Rhonda Roland Shearer, Michael McGuigan, Allison Jones, Margot Margolis, Heather Domi, and Andriana Shamaris.
Hi,
come line up.
Okay, I'm Rhonda Roland Shearer. I've lived in Soho almost 30 years. I'm an artist, but I've switched now to charitable work, supporting my community, delivering 25 million items of PPE to NYCHA projects that the city didn't deliver one mask. And I was supporting it. So I'm here to oppose the art fund. This is like I'm an artist, so this is like robbing artist Peter to pay artist Paul. This is exactly what this is. And, you know, we're not the rich taxable developers. Why aren't the really rich being taxed, you know, with the owners in Soho? And finally, we lived with the risks. When we moved in, I couldn't get a mortgage. Banks wouldn't even talk to you. You know, you had to scrape the money together, borrow it from relatives to pay, and then you had to do all the improvements. It was all raw space. So
Thank you very much.
thank you. And
Next, we're going to go to Michael again.
Hi, thank you. I'm going to urge the CB2 support an amendment to eliminate the conversion tax. My name is Michael McGuigan. My wife and I are the artistic and managing directors of Bond Street Theater, a performing nonprofit arts organization. We live on Bond Street. I've been there since 1973, and the building went co-op in 1995. And the fact that we now own our space is one reason we still have a nonprofit organization. It's a comfort for when the day comes in the possible not too distant future when we might have to sell for lack of pay or lack of health. And our greatest asset, our only asset really, is we have no retirement fund or pension, is going to be our loft. And this $100,000 flip tax is a scary prospect, especially as the future seems so uncertain, and also a growing prospect when I and my NoHo and Soho artist neighbors are facing this tax, which was never before there, and which is not a tax for anyone else in the 5 boroughs of the city. So please oppose it. And by the way,
Thank you. Next, we have Allison Jones, Margot Margolis, Heather Domi.
I know Allison, she's in a building. I don't think she's here.
Sorry? Who? Allison? Okay, thanks. Margot Margolis, Heather Domi, Andriana Shamaris, Bruce Cohen, Elizabeth Weatherford, and Andrew O'Neill. If you want to line up, we'll go through this very quickly. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Margot Margolis. I oppose the Arts Fund and support Christopher Marte's proposal to eliminate the Art Fund conversion fee. A punitive.
Stand closer, please.
A punitive fee that specifically targets the true pioneers of Soho and NoHo, the oldest artists. I'm shocked that anyone at CB2 would oppose Marte's resolution. What might not be clear is the fact that only half of Soho and NoHo would be subject to this fee. In fact, the city ruled in June that former and current IMD buildings are exempt from the artist residency restriction, will not be required to convert to residential or pay the art fund fee. They're free to use them residentially as well as to transfer or sell to anyone. Who is not exempt are the early settlers like me, a certified artist. I moved into my building, a former warehouse, in 1972. We converted the building and received a C of O in 1981 before the loft law, and therefore we're not an IMD building. It makes no sense.
Thank you so much. Next, we're going to move on to Heather Domi.
Hi, I'm Heather Domi, and I'm a real estate agent at Compass. In the fall of 2022, I listed for sale a condo unit zoned JLWQA for sale at 77 Mercer. We secured a buyer, and after a long period of due diligence, the artist conversion fee became an issue, and the seller had to discount by $100 per square foot, which was $200,000. 9 months later, I listed a second home for sale. Based on a previous sale, this sale resulted in a much lower number, basically baking the price of the conversion fee into the price. Both of those sales were not sellers who were artists. Now this is where it becomes punitive, and we see the unintended consequences. A third seller in the building wishes to sell, and he's an artist. He owned the building since the 90s. The value of the property has now been reduced by $200,000. This artist will not be able to recoup the $200,000 value in his property because the market comparables do not support the price. And now this has already dropped the values. If the tax is implemented, you get the point.
Thank you, Heather. Next, we have Andriana Shamaris, Bruce Cohen, Elizabeth Weatherford, Andrew O'Neill, Naomi Bushman. If you could all line up. Thank you. Andriana Shamaris.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Weatherford. I've lived in Soho since 1970 in a loft on Spring Street. With three other artists, my late husband, the painter Murray Reich, purchased the building and we lived and worked here ever since. His studio is in the loft and this is also where his paintings are stored. I'm nearing 80 years of age and aging in place in Soho. It's my feeling that the Art Fund conversion fee is discriminatory and unfair to us who have nurtured these old buildings made of 19th century materials as best we could. My building faces a complete roof replacement this year at huge cost to us. These buildings, their creative occupants, and the distinctive visual and architectural quality of the neighborhood are a primary reason the city can attract so many here and why commerce also flourishes here. This is a world-famous Soho, an early leader in the field of restoration and repurposing of historical commercial buildings, repurposed originally by these same creators whose legacy you wish to tax. I might note. In our case, it has been more than 50
Thank
years.
you so much, Elizabeth. Next, we're going to move on to Andriana. Is Andriana Shamanis here? I just need to mark if people are here or not. Bruce Cohen. Are you Bruce?
No, I'm Andrew O'Neill.
Okay, is Bruce here? Okay. Andriana is apparently not here. Thank you so much, Cormac. And you're Andrew?
Yes.
Great, let's go.
So hi, my name's Andrew O'Neill. I'm here as one of the members of the community of 1,600 families and households in our community that must pay what I call the unfair extortion of the Arts Fund fee. Members of our community are being singled out, extorted of hundreds of thousands of dollars each, just so the city can spend money outside of our community. I ask you, firstly, to oppose the Arts Fund fee. Secondly, to let the community board members who are in just the same situation as us to vote on this matter rather than recusing themselves. And thirdly, to support Councilmember Christopher Marte's proposal to eliminate this. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Naomi Bushman. Are you Naomi? Naomi, thank you.
Artists didn't drive manufacturing out of NoHo. We moved into desolated neighborhoods and made Soho and NoHo more livable, safer for NYU students, and increased the value of neighboring property owners. How ironic that we should be fined, have difficulty selling our lofts, and live under this threat. Our NYU neighbor, a vast property owner, pays a pittance of real estate taxes, while our co-op's tax bill is the highest expense to run our building. My building received a C of O as a joint living working in 1981. I never understood why the designation was applied. Similar buildings were not designated like this. This unfairly applied different rules to different buildings. There were no benefits from this status. For our C of O, we complied with all the usual requirements, inspections for a residential building. We had the opposite of benefits.
Thank you so much, Naomi. Next, we have Christine Calvo, Susan Brindle, Sherry Ward, Jamie and Paul Giovanopoulos, David Thal, Laura Tenenbaum, Henry Smith Miller. So if you could line up down here. So Christine is up first. Are any of you Christine? Susan? Cherie? Susan, Cherie? Susan? Susan Brindle? Yeah.
Hey, everyone. I'm just blown away. Oh, sorry. I'm going to try not to repeat what all of you said so eloquently that I agreed with, and I feel really proud to be a part of the fabric of Soho and NoHo. I've lived here for 50 years, first in Soho, and for 25 years in my present address at 27 Great Jones Street. I grew up poor. My husband grew up poor. We climbed the ladder and we saved our money and we bought our space, and it has cost us fortunes, bloody fortunes in taxes, in local law 11. Just this year, $350,000 for our building to fix a couple of bricks on our building. And it just never ends. And I am a stylist. Everyone in our building is in a creative field. And with Mayor Adams' initiative for the yes, to kind of to let JWQL, sorry, units legal throughout the city, why should we, who were 1,600 units,
Thank you,
now
Sharon.
800 units, take the burden
Susan.
of all of this?
Thank you,
Thank
Susan. Thank you. Sherry Ward, is that you? Great.
Soho NoHo has become a worldwide tourist destination, creating increased sales revenue for the city and increased property taxes. When I moved to Soho 25 years ago, it wasn't this vibrant destination for shopping and restaurants. People like me improved their living spaces over time during this period. The zoning laws were not enforced and few artist certifications had been granted in the last 30, 40 years. Homeowners have paid taxes like everyone else in the city. This tax will create a hardship for many people, forcing them to sell their homes or face an annual increase of the tax in accordance with the rate of inflation. You don't single out one section of the city and impose a tax in the form of a fine for the creation of an arts fund that doesn't exist. The only people in favor of this egregious tax are those not writing the check, and they'll be disappointed to learn that city planning is directing the funds that they were largely end up on Governor's Island. The city's desire for an arts fund should start with the tax base of this entire city, not by penalizing a small community. The entire tax is based on a vendetta that Margaret Chin had towards the community. She served for 12 years.
Thank you so much, Sherry. Next, we're going to move on to Jamie and Paul Giannopoulos. Are you Jamie or Paul? Are you Jamie or?
I'm Jamie.
Okay, hi, Jamie. Thank you.
I'm Jamie Giovanopoulos. My husband Paul and I are residents of Tri-Prince Co-op on Prince Street since 1974. Paul bought the loft as an artist in residence when the neighborhood was noisy and industrial and silent on the weekends. As a co-op, Tri-Prince went to considerable effort and expense to obtain a C of O in the 70s because it was the right thing to do and the best way to protect our live-work foundation of our lives. Many of the original stakeholders obtained artist certification because we were told it was the right thing to do to ensure that our right to live and work in our homes. We raised our children here. We sent them to public school and welcomed them back with visits with our grandchildren. Across the decades, we watched the neighborhood evolve from predominantly industrial to a high-end luxury shopping mall. We understand that neighborhoods change, but our home and where we work, this is our home and where we work, and those changes.
Thank you so much. Next, we're going to move on to.
I have at least 2 minutes.
Sure, we'll take your testimony. Are you Paul?
No, I'm Henry Smith Miller.
Okay. And then who is this? Oh, Laura. Laura. Sorry. Okay, so Laura, and then Henry.
Laura Tenenbaum speaking. There's something seriously wrong with the Soho NoHo JLW QA conversion fee. It's unfair, inequitable, and creates hardship for many individual artists, particularly the pioneers who got their C of Os before the loft board existed. Chris Marte's proposal to remove the fee from the zoning text in conjunction with the City of Yes text change is spot on. His proposal makes sense now that the city wants to facilitate people not only working where they live, but running businesses with employees from home. The rest of city residents will not be charged a conversion fee, even though they will actually benefit financially from the text change, while Soho NoHo residents definitely do not. There's an opportunity for another fix. Text change can not only eliminate the conversion fee, it can make it moot by folding the JLW QA use, which is use group 17D, into a residential use. Since the city is folding so many uses into each other by this text amendment, it makes sense to do this text change as well.
No, and if anyone has written testimony that you brought with you, you can also leave it up here with our secretary and assistant secretary. Next, we have Henry Smith Miller.
Hi, my name is Henry Smith Miller. Can anybody hear me? No. Then I will speak up a little more. Hold on. Yeah, okay. My name is Henry Smith Miller, and I'm a registered artist, as is my partner in life, Lori Hawkinson. She lives at 7 Mercer Street, and I live at 305 Canal Street. I moved into 305 Canal Street in 1971, and have enjoyed being there ever since. I think this resolution is punitive and brought about by the developer community. to actually punish those of us who founded the district, repaired the buildings, and made them our house. And I agree with all the other people rejecting this situation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, I'm gonna check on if Christine Calvo, just one more time, and then David Thal. All right, then I'm gonna move on. David Lawrence, Gideon Mann, Lynn Qualwasser, Sean Sweeney, Ingrid Weigand, Mark Ropel. So if I called out your name, if you could come down here to testify, and also to get in line so that way we can not have this downtime. Thank you. So David Lawrence, are you David? Are you David? Okay, great.
Sure. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Okay, cool. Yeah, I'd like to say I've heard about this, the fact that some people on the community board are not allowed to participate in this, which I think is entirely unfair by shutting people out, members of the community board who are affected by this. You're shutting out our voices. You're essentially saying they have a conflict of interest because they have to pay the tax. Well, we all have the same conflict. So you in essence are saying that we have a conflict of interest. So I do not agree with that from what I've been told. That's number one. Number two, this tax, which is incredibly onerous and punitive, in addition to the fact that the mayor is going to supposedly turn the whole city into JLWQA, the tax applies to Soho and NoHo, but half of the buildings are exempt. You've heard from the real estate person about how that affects resale values. So you're going to have two classes of space of buildings in Soho and NoHo.
Thank you so much. I'm going to quickly turn the microphone over to our chair, Susan Kent, who'd like to make it.
I just want to offer some clarification based on the statement that the last gentleman made. A conflict of interest is not something that we rule on. The conflict of interest board rules on whether or not a board member has a financial interest that precludes them from voting. It is not up to the individual. That does not mean that any person who has a conflict of interest cannot participate in debate. It merely means that they must disclose that the fact that they have a conflict and then recuse themselves from the final vote. We have no say in the matter. This is a rule that every board member is obligated to follow.
Thank you. Next, we have Gideon Mann. Gideon, Lynn Qualwasser, are you here? Lynn, and then Sean Sweeney, if you'd like to go.
Hi, I'm Sean Sweeney. I'm the director of the Soho Alliance, which is a direct successor to the Soho Artists Association, which in 1969 through 1971 created Soho's legislation with the joint living quarter for artists. These are the people here who were present then. We fought Robert Moses' attempt to destroy Soho with his Lower Manhattan Expressway. We've made it into a world-class community, and we're begging you we're asking to support Christopher Marte's legislation to do away with this onerous fund. By the way, the zoning changed, and to permit retail where it had been manufacturing, yet the big box stores and the multinational corporations don't pay a dime into this arts fund. Why should the people who created Soho be so judged? The FAR and Walton Height were increased to the benefit of the real estate developers. They're not paying a dime. Why must the communities who created this neighborhood be so subject? And by the way, the vote was 36-1 against this arts fund.
Thank you.
2 years ago.
Next, we have Ingrid Weigand. Ingrid, are you here? Ingrid Weigand, Mark Ropel. Are you Mark? Great.
The reasons people have articulated, I'm opposed to the arts fund as well. I don't see how this targeting a small group of people to contribute tens of millions of dollars to a nebulous fund that we don't know what it will be used for and doesn't benefit the neighborhood can possibly be legal. unfortunately, it'll take years for that to be resolved. And in the meantime, the values of our properties is severely damaged. I support Christopher Marte's proposal. I do want to thank Amit, who has, done yeoman's work for the last couple of years when our elected representative, particularly former Councilwoman Chin, have abandoned us. And so I do want to thank him for all his work. And I'm justifying this debate. I would like to hear from this room support this fund to explain to us why places can you possibly support this fund.
Thank you very much. So next we have Regina Cherry, Susan Nathanson, and Jane Nelson, Andrew Ginzel, Susan Keith, Prawa LaSharon, Prior Dodge, Henry Schwartz. If I've called your name, if you could stand up and get in, stand over here, and then we can go through testimony. So first I had Regina Cherry. Is that you? Great.
I've been in a registered artist owner since, that better? Yeah, okay. I've been a registered artist owner since 1976 in an ARR residential co-op building. I fear of being evicted from my home. The loft where my late husband's artist estate is housed, evicted from my neighborhood by the city catering to real estate forces. We who fought for this neighborhood, helped establish it, will be destroyed if you vote for this punitive action. I urge you to vote no for establishing this unfair fee, supposedly helping the artist community.
Thank you. Next we have Susan Nathanson or Jane Nelson. Okay.
Yeah, we're here from 21 Howard Street. We've been artists there for over 48 years. I moved there in 1976. I moved there in 1976 when Soho was very deserted.
I'm sorry, if you're in the back having a conversation, if you could move that out into the lobby.
And we are against this tax thing. And we really appreciate everybody coming to speak, and Christopher Marte and Deborah and Ronnie was so articulate, one of the first speakers, and just thank you. You guys are a great community, and let's just generate some excitement and power. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Andrew Ginzel, then Susan Keith. Andrew, are you up here? Okay, Susan Keith. Thank you.
I don't want to repeat what other people have said, but my husband found Soho and moved as an artist in 72. And when I married him in 77, I became part of our artist community, and has been mentioned by another one of our co-op members. We were co-opted before the loft board. So the Arts Fund does fall heavily on us. And it felt discriminatory when it was first introduced. And as the legal process has played out with Amit's group, people are becoming exempt because they fall under the interim multiple dwelling law. It feels more and more discriminatory. And like someone else said, I was saying, this is so nebulous, this arts fund. So I did a little research, and the Department of Cultural Affairs, there are arts councils in the 5 boroughs, and money is allocated by the city for artist grants. And I never heard of a co-op building on 5th Avenue, the Upper West Side, Madison Avenue, having to pay a tax. So why us?
Thank you very much. Next I have Prawat LaSharon. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Prawat. The next will go to Prior Dodge, then Henry Schwartz, Phil Abraham, Claudia Levy, Ben Schoenzelt, Sarah Walker.
Hi, I'm Brian Dodge. I oppose the art fund. It's discrimination, plain and simple. I support Chris Marte and his initiative, and I'd like to yield my time to Sean.
Thank you. We see so many people here
wanted to do away with the arts fund.
I'm sorry.
He's giving you his minute. He's giving.
I'm sorry, but you already
He's
spoke.
giving you his time.
I'm sorry, but you already spoke.
He's giving you his time.
You've only spoke one time.
I don't think so.
One time.
I don't think so. I think you're wrong.
Then we're gonna stop this.
Is anyone here in favor of it?
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, you already spoke.
Who here is in favor
I am not.
of the odd tax, of the tax? Who's in favor of it? Who's in favor of it?
It's now 10:08.
Thank you. Sorry, I didn't recognize that gentleman had already spoken. I'm sorry, can you please state your name? Henry, thank you.
My name is Henry Schwartz. I've been at 49 Crosby for about 30 years now. I am not an artist, but this tax, which would cost my building, the residents, the 5 families that live in my building, about $1 million, is absolutely unfair. It impacts the people that have been here for 25, 30 years, and none of the brand new buildings which the city has been allowed to put up. In addition, this continues the mistreatment by Margaret Chin, who I learned today has retired to San Diego after creating quite a stir. So we strongly oppose this tax.
Thank you so much, Henry. Next, we have Phil Abraham. Phil Abraham. Is Phil Abraham here? I just want to make sure I don't miss Phil. Claudia Levy.
Hello, my name is Claudia. Made my building legal in 1980. And what we did was make sure that we followed every single requirement the city imposed upon us to make sure that we were a legal building. Everybody in my building had to be a certified artist, and we all were certified artists. I would like to understand why, at this point in time, after all these years, you have changed the requirements of the law and made it and punished us for everything that we did, which we did legally and were required to do, and now you're taking away every investment that we made in the buildings that we did legally and made up the code. I don't understand, and I do not understand what is the charter for this arts fund. I don't understand how you can change the requirements for the people who live and have supported Soho.
Thank you so much, Claudia. Next, we have Ben Schoenzelt.
I'm Ben Schoenzeit. I'm an artist. I moved to Soho in 1966. I am a renter. I don't own a loft. And I'm here to support my neighbors and these people who had the courage to buy these terrible buildings and spend their whole life keeping them together and making this neighborhood, which is now the center of the retail universe. And that's all, and support whatever Sean has to say.
Thank you. Are you Sarah Walker? Sarah, great, thank you.
I'm Sarah Walker. As an artist and resident of Soho, I stand with my entire Artist Live Work Co-op, we're all certified, against charging Soho NoHo residents and artist lofts with an unprecedented $100 per square foot tax. This unfair and totally localized tax falls especially heavily on the artist residents, which there's substantial numbers yet remaining. For many, it represents their entire nest egg. And for residents such as us in our building, we have poured hundreds of thousands of dollars into maintaining and upgrading a historical building that requires special modalities of restoring the facade and other things, which can be very challenging. And moreover, it's quite costly to convert to a C of O, such as we did some years ago. So I agree with everybody. This is so discriminatory.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
Thank you.
Next, we're going to go to Zoom. So if David Thal, as he is also signed up on Zoom, Barry Holden, Myra Gorig, Greta Watson. So if we could promote them on Zoom, and if you could,
Valerie,
whoever
David,
has the controls of Zoom, if you could maybe expand the speaker screen so that people in the room can see the person testifying.
David declined to be promoted. Everybody else that you listed, I do not see online. The first person I see on Zoom that's on the list is Iona.
Could we possibly expand the screen so that we pin the person who's testifying so that people in the room can see, and I can also tell who's actually testifying?
Valerie, did you hear me?
Yes, I can hear. I just don't know who's testifying.
Yeah, the first person on the list who is online is Iona, and Iona's been promoted.
Okay, then have Iona speak.
Iona?
Second, and I'll change the screen so you can see the person.
Okay, I don't have anyone else testifying in person.
Speaker view. Oh, you do.
Iona, you need to unmute.
Okay, so is Iona ready to testify? Has she been
Okay,
promoted?
can you hear me now? Okay, okay. The problem is that the buildings that are going to get squeezed are the ones converted before the loft law. And that's where you have a predominance of artists who are elderly, who are aging in place, who need to, when they sell, to use this money to go into assisted living, to nursing homes, to whatever they need for their health care. The fund is absurd because you're saying a fourth floor walk up of an artist condition loft is the same tax as somebody who spent millions of dollars on a fancy renovation, you know, with a regular elevator. So it does not even distinguish between the particular real estate that they're trying to tax. So it's blatantly unfair, and it penalizes all the artists who were the original settlers who worked for sweat equity to create their buildings. Okay, how much more time do I have? And that's why I oppose it. And I think that the money should come from all these new developers who are coming into Soho, and they can contribute to an arts fund.
Thank you very much, Iona. We're going to move on to the next speaker.
Okay.
Next, we're going to move on. Next, we're going to move on to David Thal, Barry Holden, Myra Gorig, Greta Watson. And at this time, we're not online on Zoom. We're not taking anyone who did not sign up to speak at this time. I'm just calling on people who have signed up.
Yeah,
So-
Valerie, I don't see anybody else who signed up.
You don't see anybody who's listed on the spreadsheet? Well, I'm going to call out everyone's name because I need to check. So I'm going to go through it one time, and that'll be the last call. And then I will ask if there's someone would like to testify, who's not signed up to testify either in person or on Zoom, and then we will close the public session. So I'm going to go through this list. Barry Holden, David Thal, Myra Gorig, Greta Watson, Isaiah Friedman, Patrick Milling-Smith, Jim Farah, Christos Giancos, Neil Slavin, Albert Bennett, Joan, Albert's on a different topic, Joan Sherman, Mark Sherman, Barbara Knight, and Chris Giancos one more time, is on there twice. So if I called your name and you're on Zoom, if you could raise your hand, and Mark Moss will promote you on Zoom and we will hear your testimony. Mark, did anybody raise their hand?
No hands are up.
All right, I'm going to ask both in the room and on Zoom, if you were not called on and you would like to testify, if you could raise your hand and I will call on you if you have not already testified.
I'm promoting.
Not seeing anyone on the room. Can you say the name who's on Zoom, Mark?
Yes, I just promoted Richard Bailey. Richard, you need to accept that. And then Robin, you will be next.
And Richard and Emily, if you could say what subject matter you're speaking on, and you will have 1 minute. So, Richard. Richard? Mark or did Richard Bailey or Emily Robin? I don't know if that's who you had said. I couldn't hear you, but are they going to testify? Did they raise their hands? Have they been promoted?
They were both promoted. They both accepted. Robin Forrest, Robin, can you?
Okay, so
unmute?
Robin Forrest, so Robin, we're actually not to the elected reports yet, and that's where you would give your update. So if you could just hold tight, we're about to transition to that. So if you could just hold tight, Robin. Richard Bailey. Richard, if you could give your 1 minute testimony.
Hey, this is Braden Anderson. Can you hear me?
Sure, Braden Anderson, go.
It may be that my name was coming up incorrectly. So I'm the owner of Kook Burger. And just to respond to some of the earlier comments that Beth made, first I just want to thank the committee for hearing us out and approving us with stipulations. This is a transfer application at an existing licensed location. We're experienced operators. This is our third location. We agreed to a full list of stipulations. There wasn't any stipulation that was brought by the committee that we didn't agree to, including changing our hours to closing at 11 p.m. 5 days a week, and then midnight on Friday and Saturday. There were also stipulations regarding sound tests and meetings with the condo board and Beth. The big picture here is that this is a reservation only restaurant. We don't attract a rowdy crowd. Yes,
Thank you so much, Braden. Is Albert Bennett on? Mark, all right, well, with that, I am going to close the public session at 8:01 p.m. I'm sorry?
No, I'm sorry, the only questions can be asked by board members.
Valerie, who is
on Kook Burger, which is a liquor license application. Great. With that, I'm going to close out the public session at 8:02 p.m. and move the and hand this back over to our chair, Susan Kent. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone, for your testimony. We're now going to move to the elected officials' reports. Everyone, all the reps who are in the room, would you please come to the front so that we can call you one after another? You all have 2 minutes, and because it is already after 8 o'clock, I do encourage you to be as concise as possible. Thank you.
Susan, do you see my hand? This is Shirley Smith.
Yes.
And I
Thank you very much. Dr. Smith, you have your hand up, please. What's your question?
I don't have a question, but I do have a comment about the comments that were made in public.
I'm sorry, it's hard to hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Can
you hear me now?
If she could be closer to the microphone.
Can you be closer to your microphone?
Can you hear me now?
No, and it's Susan, it's not by you, because on Zoom, it's the same things. Dr. Smith, you're very low volume.
I'll put it in the chat.
She's gonna put it in the chat.
Can somebody repeat her question or comment for us?
Dr. Smith said she's gonna put it in the chat.
She's going to put it in the chat. Okay, thank you. Okay, let's move forward with our reports, please. Just announce yourself.
Hi, I'm Caroline Wexelbaum from State Senator Brad Siegel's office, and I will be really quick. Our board report is in the back of the room. We just emailed it to Mark, so I'm sure he'll send that out. Really quickly, the governor just came out with her executive budget, which is kind of like the first draft of the budget, and we are actively negotiating it now. If anyone has thoughts, opinions, or wants to talk about making a budget request, please feel free to get in touch. We had several bills signed by the governor as well, which you can read about in our board report. Any questions?
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Connor.
Hello. My name is Connor Allerton from Councilmember Marche's office. Okay, so yeah, Happy New Year. Our redistricting, obviously there's the council redistricting. We no longer represent the area around Washington Square Park, but we do still represent part of CB2 and have an addition kind of around the Holland Tunnel and west of Thompson Street. And with the new legislative season beginning, we're reorganizing existing bills, establishing our legislative priorities. Councilmember Marte is proud to be reelected as co-chair of the Manhattan delegation with Councilmember Botcher. Looking forward to continuing that role. We have a bit of a shuffle in our committee seats. I won't get into that. And for participatory budgeting, we've submitted everyone's ideas to the agencies for review. So just stay tuned. In April, we're expecting the voting period to happen. Applications are now open for discretionary capital funding for fiscal year 2025. That's all on our website as well. For zoning for economic opportunity, you have a resolution to vote on today, and we've been happy to support through that process. The council member would also come up with his own list of recommendations and critiques of the plan, and we've been in constant conversation with Council Land Use, Department of City Planning. There's also a City Planning Commission public hearing on zoning for economic opportunity, Wednesday, January 24th, beginning at 10 a.m. It's a hybrid meeting, so we encourage everyone to sign up to testify for that. As you heard from Assemblymember Glick, Norton Williams will continue to stay in place, and we're very excited for that win. We're excited that the city was able to strike a deal with NYU, and we really want to thank everyone in the community who's been organizing so strongly to fight for their supermarket. And finally, we are working on distributing letters to grocery stores around the district, about 80 grocery stores and bodegas, to encourage them to sign up for the U-Card program. It's similar to EBT. It helps people on certain insurance programs buy essentials. And so we're excited to perhaps have a press conference about that and organize around that program. So just stay tuned.
Thank you, Connor. Seeing no hands up. Jim, please.
Hello, everybody. Bill President's office here. Two things I want to mention. One, we have capital funding for schools, nonprofits, and city agencies. The deadline is February 22nd. For more information, please check our website, manhattanbp.nic.gov. Secondly, community applications. For reapplicants and new applicants, the deadline to apply is Friday, February 23rd. The application was released on our website last week. And then lastly, I really mentioned this last month, but the Manhattan Borough President's Office released a report addressing the behavioral health, mental health crisis. We're asking for over 600 new inpatient psychiatric beds, supporting our clinical staff, more community-based programs to provide care for these homeless and individuals. And for the entire plan, please check our website. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. No questions. I see online, Nicole, why don't you go next?
Thank you, Susan. Happy New Year, everybody. Just a few quick things. We kicked off the year with the Mulch Fest. If you're not aware, the Mulch Fest, you bring your trees to Washington Square Park, and several electeds get together and throw some trees in, and they get all chopped up and turned into lovely mulch that you can take home in little bags. Not only is that what they do, but they also have a contest to see how many tree-related puns they can use. So in any case, there was mulch fun had by all. We're really happy to say that Councilmember Botcher and Councilmember Marte will once again co-chair the Manhattan delegation. We are very happy about that, and our office is looking forward to working once again with Christopher Marte's office. Today, we kicked off, and sorry, my phone just went off. We kicked off an initiative. We unveiled a new multilingual public awareness campaign entitled Slow Your Roll, Respect the Stroll, asking cyclists to be mindful of pedestrian safety by yielding to pedestrians, avoiding biking on sidewalks, stopping at red lights, and refraining from biking against traffic. You will be able to see the campaign appearing on the link kiosk throughout Council District 3. Budget season has begun. The council is accepting applications for fiscal year 25 discretionary funding. The deadline is February 20th. And as always, our housing clinic, the second Tuesday of every month, and our Scree and Dree clinic, the second Thursday of every month. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Nicole. Seeing no questions, Stacy.
Hi, I'll make it brief. Happy New Year. A lot of the same things that the other elected said. We went to Mulch Fest. We're happy that the school still has a possibility of being located in the district. I want to just mention the highlight of my report is that we're going to have 2 town halls on congestion pricing. One is February 1st. The February 1st one is going to be mostly for the east side of our district, so like the Lower East Side. And on February 8th, we're going to have one that's for the west side. The locations aren't totally firm yet, so just keep an eye out for the exact location and the time. It's going to be in the evening, in person only. Like I said, February 1st and February 8th, you can come to either one, and we'll have the MTA there to answer. Well, the MTA is going to present on congestion pricing, and then the electeds are going to be there to answer questions, because I don't think the MTA is going to stay for the whole time, but the electeds are then going to compile all the feedback and send it in. So our offices will send in all the feedback to the MTA afterwards. So that's the highlight. Senator Kavanaugh had the first housing committee meeting, and they forwarded 10 pieces of legislation, 10 of which, or 3 of the 10 are sponsored by Senator Kavanaugh. So that was a productive first housing committee meeting. There was also in late December, the governor signed a piece of legislation that Brian sponsored, which does a lot of things related to rent stabilized apartments, including closing the loophole on Frankensteining, where landlords were able to combine or change the footprint of a rent stabilized apartment as like a loophole to deregulate it. So that is now not as lucrative for landlords, because they'll have to come up with a rent that is relatively affordable. And that's it. That's all I got.
Thank you, Stacy. Are there any other reps that I missed in the room or online? Okay, seeing none, I will now then move to my report. Happy New Year, everybody.
Sorry, Susan.
As Andrew Chang mentioned, it is time to start the reapplication process. Just to remind everyone that we do also have a couple of open seats on the board. If you know members of your community who are interested, by all means, encourage them to apply. It is the time of year when our public members have to reapply. It's a 1-year term that starts in January. As of right now, I only have 1 public member that has reapplied. Also mentioned previously, we had a very successful resolution to the Bleecker Street school situation. So we will have a supermarket on that location at least until 2036. There will be a resolution this month that came out of exec committee regarding the 9/11 youth research cohort. You will hear more about it. It is an opportunity to do research regarding the impacts of 9/11 on people who were 21 and under at the time of the incident. At Borough Board today, there were 2 votes. One was on the gaming facility zoning text amendment. I voted against this because we have a long-standing position in this board that has been stated many times, that any process that removes community boards from involvement in something they traditionally participate in is against public interest. And this resolution calls for a modification of the process to include EULA. We also have a vote on the City of Yes economic opportunity zoning. There was a resolution developed very similar to the one that we will be voting on tonight. And last but not least, it is the start of our election cycle. So I just want to let everyone know that starting tomorrow and up until 1 week prior to our February meeting, anyone interested in running for office, please submit a written notice to the office of your intentions. We will be announcing the nominees at the February meeting, and also at that time, we will be taking nominations from the floor. With that, yes.
Susan, you have two more elected. Robin Force from the mayor's office.
The way the resolution broke down, it was in 18 parts, just the way we have it. And what happened is that there were votes on each segment. I followed what the committee had developed. To the extent that it was possible, because in some cases, we have said no on something, and then it was no with conditions, for example, but that's really how it will work out. The overall vote was to reject the. I don't have, we had actually difficulties with quorum, so I don't know what the actual numbers were. I will certainly report that back to you. And I guess that is.
Could you clarify on who people should apply to for the public members?
Sure. Anyone interested in becoming a public member, the application is on our webpage and it gets submitted to the board office. It's ultimately my decision, and normally the only limitation is that we cannot, the number of public members on any given committee is determined by the number of board members on the committee. You must have fewer than 50%. The number of public members must be fewer than 50% of the number of board members. Yes, Donna.
The nominations, I think our next full board meeting is the 22nd, so that would mean by the 15th. People would have.
That's what it says. On that day. Yeah.
Thank you.
Susan?
And if anyone misses it, as I said, we will be taking nominations from the floor at the February meeting. Seeing that, I will now turn this over to our treasurer. Oh, I'm sorry.
Susan? There are two more elected reps on the line.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Hi, Alexander. Why don't you go ahead, please? You have 2 minutes.
Sure. Thank you so much. I'll definitely try and be brief. I know this meeting is going pretty long, but essentially, my name is Alexander Fraser. I'm attending on behalf of Assembly Member Grace Lee for Assembly District 65. And I first wanted to just wish everyone a happy new year. I know those of you in our district received our holiday mailer, which should have had a holiday card from the Assembly member and her family, as well as our legislative mailer talking about all the legislation we've helped pass over the past year. I know session has just started this month. Assembly Member Lee has returned to Albany to work with her colleagues, and she's currently working on the state budget, and she'll be working on that as it goes to pass in March. Specifically, in November, we introduced the Hate Crimes Modernization Act, which Senator Brad Hoylman-Siegel and the Manhattan DA worked on us with to confront the severe rise in hate minority groups have experienced in New York in recent years. And on a positive note, Governor Hochul did make a commitment to pass this initiative in her State of the State address. So we hope that this will be able to help New York's laws address the severe epidemic of hate minority communities across our state are currently experiencing. Specifically, this bill will expand the list of crimes that can be legally recognized as hate crimes. Now it's at 66. This bill would up that to 97, as well as other things. And if anyone does want to reach out to us and is a constituent, we'd love to be able to help you. I will put my email in the chat as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I see no questions, and I realize I neglected to call on Robin first. So please go ahead.
Hi, I will not take it personally. And I'll try to be brief because I know you have a big agenda.
I'm sorry, we really can't hear you.
Oh. I don't know why. Can you hear me now?
Okay, better.
Quick. I know you have a big agenda and I will be quick. With tomorrow's impending snowstorm, I would like to tell you that the city has a new technology that will modernize and enhance the snow cleanup operations. It's called Blade Runner 2.0. And the important part about it is it centralizes the deployment and real-time tracking of snowplows and salt spreaders. So if we have this storm, we hope that Blade Runner 2 will be up to the task. I just wanted to touch on a few budget restorations that some of you may have heard of. The first one that we heard about was a restoration to add another NYPD recruitment class for spring, April of this year, and also to equip 20 firehouses with a 5th firefighter at 20 of the engine companies. There was also a restoration for community schools and also a youth rising program for young people for the summer employment program. And then finally, in the quality of life department, there is increased funding for trash baskets, including one that Time magazine called one of the best inventions of 2023. It's the litter basket of the future. And we will see an increase in a total of 23,000 new trash cans around the city. And the other program is POP. It's the Parks Opportunity Program. It's a joint effort by City Parks Department and.
Robert, I do have to ask you to wrap it up.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, we're running short on time.
I didn't see the clock, so thank you very much, and I'll see you next month.
Thank you so much. Okay, that's the end of our reports from our elected officials. So next you have the treasurer's report.
Very simple report this quarter. We're not going to be effective anymore. There's a small revision to the city funds that we received. And due to us not replacing our previous assistant district manager, we do have a little bit of wiggle room in terms of our budget. And we're on track to spend another $110,000 by the end of the fiscal year, which is in June. And that's it for the report.
Thank you, Anthony. And next is our district manager's report.
Thanks very much. Wow. Let me obviously a night course in being a DJ is in my future. Most of what I wanted to report on has already been covered, so of course I'll say it again. But I did want to add Project Hope on your radar screen. It's been in the e-blast. It is an overnight count of unhoused people in New York City. I think it goes from 10 at night to 4 in the morning, and I've never done it. But I am told that it is one of the more rewarding things one can do in public service. That is the evening, starting on the evening of January the 23rd. The details will be in the e-blast. I also wanted to call out that there is an open comment period to the New York City Department of Transportation with respect to the congestion pricing program. The e-blast will give you details on where and how to submit to that. Everything else has either been mentioned or is for the e-blast. Thanks very much. And I apologize for our technical difficulties. We're eventually going to get this right.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, we're now moving into business. Yes, I'm sorry.
I won't be doing it this year, but I've done the homeless count 3 times, just so manage expectations. The first time I finished at 4 a.m. The other 2 times I finished much earlier at 2 a.m. So wear comfortable shoes, dress warm, and if you can, please do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that will take us into business session. So we will now do a roll call vote.
Can everybody hear me? Okay, here we go. I'm gonna do last names. Aaron. Asqui. Ganesh. Booth. Bordenaro. Brandt.
I'm here, Brenna. Kekapola's remote,
Here.
Chatri's remote. Yeah,
Here.
Valerie De La Rosa. Chris Dignas, sorry. Mar Fitzgerald. Stella Fitzgerald. Flynn. Gammy. Gruber. Hager.
Here.
Kent. Kessler. Kylie. Quan Ars online.
Here.
Laria. Levine online.
Here online.
Ma. Metzger. Miller,
Here, yes, thanks.
Olson, Pape,
Present.
Raftery, Rakoff,
我的这个电动
Bono,
大概卖
Robert,
过
Sands, Secunda remote, yes. Shay remote.
Yes.
Remote.
Thanks. Siegel. Smith, Emma Smith. Dr. Shirley Smith remote.
Can you hear me? Yes.
Yep.
Do you,
Chanel Spence.
Here.
Yeah. Wittenberg.
Amy,
Long.
Amy, can you hear
You.
me?
We heard you, Dr. Smith. Thank you.
You didn't confirm because when I wanted to ask a question, you said you couldn't hear me. Okay.
We can hear you now, though.
Okay.
Katie Bodenero has her hand up.
Yes, I saw that. Yes, Katie.
We have you, we have you, Katie. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Are we done?
Yes, we're done.
Oh, thank you so much.
Hello.
Okay, next item is approval of the December.
this is Edma. Edma is unmute.
Oh, we recorded you, Ed. We got you as present.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure. The next item is approval of the December full board minutes. Does anyone have any questions or any issues with those minutes? Yes, Donna.
I think Laura Fitzgerald was also late to that meeting, so that was one thing. And then I'm questioning the order of the committees is not the order we took them in. I think, I don't know if that's standard, that they're just in alphabetical, or go ahead. They shouldn't be in the order that we hear the committees in, so it reflects what happened that evening.
I was told that the way we always do it is alphabetical, so that's what we did. If
Okay.
someone wants to change that, I'm certainly happy to do that going
Okay.
forward.
Looking back, that's not how they were all done, but that's why I'm questioning it, but.
Okay, but they are complete in your opinion. Otherwise, thank you. Okay, then I will take a motion to approve. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Yes, sir. Oh, well, I'm sorry, we are not going to do that. I am glad, look. But, okay, I want to be very clear. One of your colleagues is planning on calling a roll call vote on every single resolution or vote that we have. I'm glad, that's fine. And I'm going to call you out of order because the purpose of procedure is to facilitate our work. What you're trying to do is run that clock out so that we don't get to vote, so that you can so you want to call a second meeting? I don't, look, if you have an issue, we can discuss it. If you have a problem with this, you can file a complaint. I'm not going to have procedure used to shut down this board and silence its members. Well, you can make that argument. I don't know. Why don't you want to explain to us why you're doing this? Actually, I don't know. No, you send me these brief texts that I don't know how to answer, and I'm sorry. Yes, sir. No.
Creating nonsense, right? This is the only way I can get things done.
I accept your invitation to have a conversation. With that, I'm going to move forward. If you would like to challenge any of these votes on the basis that you are being deprived of a roll call vote, you will do so. If any, yes, Valerie.
Not hear what is happening in the room.
Oh, okay. Thank you for pointing that out. Is there,
Can anyone hear what I'm saying?
I'm sorry. Okay, what has happened in the room is that Matt Metzger asked for a roll call vote to approve the minutes. He has informed us that he will be asking for a roll call vote on every single vote that we take for the remainder of the meeting. I have ruled that out of order because the result is to thwart the efforts of the board and to prevent us from doing our business. If you choose, I told him if he wants to discuss this with me, I welcome it. If he wants to challenge it, that is his right. But I am going to proceed with the meeting. Yes.
I wasn't late. I did roll call on Zoom and then came a few minutes late.
Okay, I will deal with that question regarding the minutes. Since we've moved past it, I will deal with it. But we do have to continue. It is now 8:30 already, and we have to be done in a little more than an hour. So the next item is the adoption. We have that is correct. Okay, I will now, okay, I actually have ruled him out of order. And if you want to do it, you can challenge this subsequently. But I am going to run this meeting through because that's what we're here to do. Okay, so there is a motion to approve the December full board minutes. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, please. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next is the adoption. We have in here the next 3 months calendars. It's going to be our practice to provide you with 3 months at a time so that there can be better planning and community awareness of what's going on. Of course, they're always subject to revision down the road. Does anybody have any issues with any of those? Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry, we're having a conversation. We're about to take a vote. Do I have a motion to adopt the 3 months? Thank you. Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going to move to our standing committee reports. The first is landmarks. Well, I'm so sorry, but people are finding your conversation distracting. If you really don't want to participate, then don't participate. I'm just saying, then please allow everybody else to behave. Okay, we're moving to our standing committee reports. The next one is landmarks. Susan Gammy, are you present? Are you the one who's going to be delivering it?
I'm here.
Chenault is, okay, thank you. Chenault, whenever you're ready.
We had 2 meetings. The first meeting, the first application, 801 Greenwich Street. Application.
We're having difficulty hearing him. Okay, Chenault, we are having difficulty. You're going to have to get closer to your mic or something.
How am I now? If not,
Yeah.
Susan can read them.
Once you're done. Sorry.
I'm right in my computer mic.
There's another one that's.
Hello?
Chenault, I am going to ask Susan Gammy to do the presenting since it's hard to hear you.
Thank you.
Okay, we had 2 meetings this month. The first one was 3 applications. The vote was unanimous in each of them. The first one was 801 Greenwich Street. The application is to convert the existing office building to 5 residential suites with ground floor retail, construct new masonry stair and elevator bulkhead, and install mechanical units with fenced enclosure. Therefore, be it resolved that Manhattan CB2 recommends approval of this application, provided that the side wall of the bulkhead be aligned with the building's visible party wall below and built of brick to match. Next was 307, 309 6th Avenue. The application is to demolish the existing buildings and construct a new building. Therefore, be it resolved that CB2 Manhattan recommends approval of demolition of the 2 existing buildings of no historic or architectural value, and approval of the massing of the building and its side and rear walls, and denial of the front facade design, including the metal storefront, the windows' size, proportion, and operation, the concave and convex vertical design of the columns, and the proportion of masonry to glass, a clearly contemporary design without reference or respect to the specific rich historic character of the district. And D, denial of use of any brick other than common brick on lot line facades. As I said, those were all unanimous. The second meeting, we'll start with the first one, which was 180 Waverly Place. The application was previously heard. The application we had previously heard is to be modified with changes to the rooftop addition and addition of an elevator bulkhead on the roof and alterations to a window on the rear facade and modify the chimney. Resolution is A, approval of the modifications to the chimney, the stair bulkhead, the mechanical screen, and the addition of the elevator bulkhead. And B, introduction of historic detail to the windows on the rear facade. And C, denial of the brick infill of the 3rd floor window, and that the window be preserved and an interior solution be devised to mask the elevator shaft. That was unanimous. Next one, 121 Waverly Place. Application is to replace 1/1 double hung windows in kind at existing openings on the front facade. Therefore, be it resolved that CB2 Manhattan recommends approval of the replacement in kind of windows that are typical of modifications to similar buildings in the district, dated at least to the 1940s and existed at the time of designation. Again, unanimous. Next one, 57 and 59 Christopher Street. Application is to construct a 1-story rooftop expansion for the 2 buildings. The committee recommends A, approval of the bulk of the rooftop addition, modification of the stair bulkhead, restoration of the front and rear facades, cornice and railing, and B, denial of the front facade rooftop addition unless the pitch is increased and the amount of glazing is increased to lessen visibility and to evoke a historic artist's studio window. Unanimous. Next, we had 670 Broadway. Application is to construct a rooftop bulkhead, an elevator bulkhead, and additions. The recommendation from the committee is to approve this application. That was unanimous. And lastly, 67 Green Street. The application is to remove and replace diamond plate platform at the sidewalk, construct new steps, and install handrails, and replace damaged steel beams. Therefore, be it resolved that CB2 Manhattan recommends A, approval of the removal of the platform, reconfiguration of the entrances, provided that the steps are modified to provide nosing, and B, replacing the diamond plate in kind, and C, that the applicant provide ADA access at the 2 entrances. The vote there was 7 in favor and 2 opposed.
Okay.
Are there any questions?
Thank you. Okay. Going back to the first report, does anybody have any questions or want to discuss anything in that report? So Okay, if there's no objection, we will vote on items, it's 1 and 3. Okay, there is a standing objection and I so noted. If there's if there's no objection, I will accept a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Number 3 in landmarks 1. And any recusals? Okay, they pass. And on report number 2, we have items 1 through 4. Does anyone want to call any of those out to discuss? Seeing none, I will take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions, recusals? Okay, that passes. So next is land use.
Hello.
And who is Katie is delivering it, land use.
Yeah. So we have a lot to report. We've had 2 public meetings and 2 informational sessions in November, December, and January. We've heard about the city of Yes, and we're going to talk about that in detail. Public meeting number 1 on December 13th, 2023. Was in response to the city of Yes, and therefore be it resolved that the committee requests the co-chairs to draft a resolution, include any comments and concerns on the 18 proposals that the New York City Department of City Planning presented on November 13th and submit it to the committee for further comment. Motion was passed unanimously, and that was in December. In January.
I'm sorry. Before you go on to number 2, I don't want you to address both of them together. Let's deal with number 1 first, please.
Okay, so
the reason I'm doing that is because there is a portion of proposal number 11, which ended up on the agenda of the meeting at which it was passed incorrectly. It should not have been added to the agenda. Therefore, there should not have been a debate on it or a vote. Therefore, that portion of 11 is out of order and it is not currently a part of the resolution that you see in front of you. At this time, I will then open the floor. Does anybody have anything they want to discuss on this? Yes, Cormac. We are just discussing number 1, which is City of Yes, the 18 proposals. We're discussing just this, I'm sorry, just the City of Yes texting. Oh, I'm sorry. My mistake. Yes, she was, okay, my mistake. So. Yeah. Would you share that with him?
Am I?
The question was, I was like, you just presented public meeting number 1, December 13, the resolution asking for a resolution. And I wondered, do we have to vote on that?
No, we do not vote on that. She didn't actually, that's part of the report. She actually did not have to provide that to us. That's just for your edification of the process.
So now we're just any discussion on public meeting number 2. Thank you for that.
No problem. Okay.
It's confusing.
So at this point in time, I will open the floor for discussion of that resolution.
I would like to move to amend the resolution to add back in the language that was just disqualified.
Okay, do I have a second on that item? Okay.
Yes, so I
go ahead.
I'll only explain after she starts to make, sorry.
we have a second. It is on the floor. It is open for discussion. So please explain.
I will explain why I'm doing this. So the text in question is under item 11, proposal number 11, expanded home occupations. The second paragraph that says if proposal number 11 of City of Yes passes the City Council, CB2 recommends the elimination of the JLQWA conversion fee and the Arts Fund enacted in the recent no zoning, which is what all of those people were testifying about earlier. And here's the thing, I have no conflict of interest. I don't think I've been in the live workspace in Soho in 40 years. I don't have any friends there. I don't have any interest in any of this thing, right? Here's the thing is, it seems to me that in substance, the whole thing is wrong and unfair for all the reasons we heard earlier. It seems to me that while it's entirely proper to rule it out because of procedural issues, it doesn't further democracy for us to not consider it because on a technicality, when the committee already substantially dealt with the issue and came to unanimous decision on it. And also, this is really our only opportunity, going to be our only opportunity to weigh in or to debate on this thing is on this. If this does not go into the City of Yes, so it's not part of the City of Yes legislation anyway, or that dialogue, then when do we ever opine on it? It's already a done law. So this is the chance to look at revising it and have an opinion. So I really think it's important that it go back in the resolution. That's why I'm making my motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I will recognize, yes.
Microphone, please.
Hi. I just want to make sure I understand since I'm taking notes. Are you talking about taking out all of 11 or just that?
No, I had a procedural ruling on the paragraph that Cormac mentioned. He has now made an amendment to restore it. That amendment is on the floor. We can discuss it. Anybody, I will recognize anyone who wants. Yes, Will.
Or is it in the packet?
The amendment is the language, it's the last two lines of proposal number 11. You did have it.
Okay, I thought it was stricken from, okay, it's.
Well, it was stricken on a technical ground.
Okay.
It was now being introduced so that there was no question that it was introduced by someone who does not have a conflict.
Thank you. No, sorry, I just was not clear if it was in the packet, but I see.
No problem.
Thank you.
No problem. Does anybody else have any comments or questions on, yes, Federico?
I wish that we had had an opportunity to expand our reasoning a little bit on why we think we don't mention the discriminatory nature of this. So I wish that if we're actually going to include it, that we could just expand some of the testimony we heard today saying that this would be the only district in the city that would be subject to this. I think it's worth a couple of sentences.
Well, if you,
However, you can know.
okay, you have to provide us with language if you wanted
I
that.
think the chairs, do you want to, if you think it's a good idea? The other thing is that it's kind of contradictory because we say if the proposal passes the city council, then we recommend the elimination. But then we go on to say we recommend retaining. So which is more important to us, to have the current definitions and regulations retained, or to take that out and just say, if it passes, then no, it says we recommend retain. The last thing we say is we recommend retaining the current definitions. But if we retain them, then we don't get the elimination of the arts fund.
I think that refers to the definitions, the remainder of number 11, in the sense that that's what's being altered, is because the JLQWA is already in effect. It is the proposed changes are not part of that. They're part of the other change.
So just moving that the last paragraph up into the longer paragraph and end with.
I cannot make changes. If you want changes, I need them to come from you.
Okay, well, I'm recommending that change then.
You're recommending a change?
I'm recommending that we move the last paragraph up into the first paragraph and end with if, because it's unclear. And we end with, if proposal number 11 passes the city council, then we recommend the elimination of the arts fund. It's a grammar thing. It's
Okay, as I said, please just mark something up and hand it in. I can't. Yes, Valerie.
I'm confused. So I was at this committee meeting. So I'm confused because we're saying that text that's included in here under number 11, the last two paragraphs, you're saying those are disqualified, that they need to be reintroduced. So Cormac has reintroduced them, but there's no, but these were voted on at the meeting. And now that vote doesn't count. And I think, I'm confused of what's happening here. And I was at the meeting, so I can't imagine if anyone else is confused as well. So what's the context as to why it was disqualified?
Okay.
Oh, Susan, may I
Yes,
just say one
yes,
thing?
Katie, please go ahead.
There's a formatting problem. Do you have the footnote? Is the footnote appearing? Is the footnote to proposal 11 appearing in the printed copy? It's their footnote.
Okay, the footnote that you're referring to is what?
There's a footnote there are two footnotes in this, and I just printed it out myself.
No, but see, that's the problem. I think that the wrong version was included in the packet.
No,
There's supposed to be a version that had a footnote?
Yeah, I'm sure that, I think it's a translation problem. I don't, oh, hold on. I'm gonna look in my
I
file.
only got one version and that's the version that's in here.
Okay.
I know, I think it's a conversion from Google to Word that problem.
Okay. I will give you that. I guess I will provide the back. The issue is that this item was put on the agenda of the land use committee by someone who had a conflict. The conflict was not revealed before the debate began. Therefore, the entire debate on the subject should not have occurred. It was improper. It was influenced by a conflict. And therefore, what came out of that discussion was also improper. This is a ruling based on discussion with the Conflict of Interest Board and the Borough President's Office. I have removed it on procedural grounds. It is therefore open to be resubmitted by someone who is not entangled in the situation, as was now done. This is only designed so that everyone knows where it's coming from and that there's nothing going on in the background. That's the whole story. Yes.
Okay, I was just confusing because it's printed in there as though it's been endorsed by the committee. I guess my question was, why was it included in there if the vote and it being a topic was invalid? It's mere inclusion being printed reads as an endorsement that was voted on and passed unanimously by the committee. I just want to make that statement.
Because until I made a ruling on it, it was part of it. It's that I can only make a ruling on something in a meeting. And this is the first opportunity that I have to do it, which is why it's appearing in it there. And it's also why I mentioned it up front for those who are coming to speak, so that hopefully they see the process. This is a procedural concern. Thank you. Dr. Smith.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. This is a question for Katie. I didn't see that footnote. Can you read what the footnote says?
If I'm allowed to share my screen, I can put it up on the screen. It did not translate from Google into Word, and that's the problem.
You should be able to share a screen.
I can share?
Does she know how?
I do know how. Okay. So here's a footnote, and I'll read it. At the meeting, the following motion was passed. After the meeting, the executive committee and the committee received new information, and the sequence of events follows. Whereas City Council member Christopher Marte submitted a proposal to remove the JLQWA conversion fee and arts fund from the zoning text amendment. Whereas the committee discussed this suggestion at great length. Therefore, be it resolved that if Proposal 11 of COYEO passes the City Council, CB2 recommends the elimination of the conversion fee and arts fund. And the original vote was committee members yes 7, no 4, public member voting yes 1, and public member abstaining 1. I've had to do a little combining to get it all on the screen. After the January meeting, MCB2 consulted with the Conflicts of Interest Board and COIB, maybe you should say members. COIB said it was a conflict for owners of JLQWA units to vote on this issue. They must recuse themselves from any future vote.
Yes.
Taking that into account, the vote would have been the following, and the results stand. Committee members voting yes 5, voting no 4, committee members recusing 2, public member recusing 1, and a public member abstaining 1. We will get this into the final, this will be included in, we can get it into the final, but it's a tech issue, sorry. I'm very sorry.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Katie.
Kate. Okay, we've got, yes, Susan. I'm so. Huh? The mic is over there? Well, I just called on. Here. We have, yeah, okay, Will has the mic, he will then pass it to you, whatever. Thank you.
So yeah, I think just echoing some of what Valerie was said, I mean, I was not even at the committee meeting, so I'm a little confused too. Because I feel like as a board in 2022, we took a very strong position when we voted against the Soho NoHo rezoning, against this whole idea of a flip tax. And so we heard all these concerns before. I personally heard all these concerns before. That's why I voted the way I did. And I thought at the time it was an unfair thing to do. So I guess I'm just wondering why it's coming back up now. I know we talked a little bit at exec, but I'm still confused. Is it simply because this is a good opportunity during a rezoning to reiterate that position? Is that the idea? Because, you know, I was reading through the City of Yes and everything, you know, it doesn't talk about this at all. So is it basically, we took a position a few years ago, we felt very strongly about such position. Here's an opportunity to rehash and reiterate that in perhaps a different format. Is that kind of the idea, or am I thinking about it wrong?
No, this was simply an opportunity because the City of Yes is now before us. It was seen by some people as an opportunity to advocate in favor of this change that you're right, we didn't support, and it was an unusual opportunity because changing zoning text is usually very difficult. And since zoning texts were already being addressed, it was seen as a unique opportunity to hopefully right the wrong. Yes, David Goldberg, I'm sorry.
You're perfectly right. We took a strong position on it, but like many things, it was ignored. And it went into the NoHo Soho plan by Margaret Chin. Our position was ignored. So even though we came out against it, it became settled law. And now there's an opportunity to discuss it again. This is all this is an opportunity to discuss it again. We cannot discuss it as part of the NoHo Soho plan because it's already been voted on and it's over with. It's in government regulation. So we have this wonderful opportunity to discuss it and see what comes out in a new discussion. But that's why we need to do this, if it's that way. Thank you.
Susan Wittenberg has been very patient. Thank you.
Hi. Hello, everyone. I I wanted to just clarify a couple of things as best I can. From a slightly different perspective, I lived in Soho on Green Street since 1978. I'm a certified artist. We've been through complex legalizing processes everyone has done. Having lived through this, I would say most people don't really understand the legalizing process. Most people don't understand the loft law, what even JLQWA buildings are. Nevertheless, the Soho NoHo rezoning of the city of yes. And so what was so sad tonight, well, first I would say, I also have never seen the land use committee in all the time I've been on it, so split in a decision. And I think that is because it was so difficult to understand and it really needs more consideration. And which is why I hoped it could go back to committee, which I felt was really in evidence tonight because there's just so much information that it was really heartbreaking. Like the man who spoke in the beginning, whose wife had Alzheimer's, he felt he had to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars, which he doesn't. And so many people who think they have to pay money don't have to. And I think there's terrible misinformation and people are being done a disservice by this. And I agree that the Soho NoHo rezoning was a terrible thing and Margaret Chin initiated things that were bad. But I hope we can go back to committee and have a chance to really discuss it. I mean, we had very little time and it's so complicated. And I feel like the negative of just taking everything out is, even though we voted against the Arts Fund, which I can't defend in spirit, but it was the only give back to the greater arts community that came out of the Soho NoHo rezoning. And it was something that was asked for and discussed at every single Envision meeting. And to completely remove that without offering clear plans for something to replace it, to me, then we become like Murray Hill, a neighborhood with no arts commitment. And that feels like a loss. So that's why I hoped we would have more opportunity to come up with something that was a little more clear. I mean, when I spoke with Councilmember Marte myself earlier, I said, if he had come in December with this, instead of in January, we wouldn't be in this situation now. And that it's really a lot of pressure to do a big thing. And we do need more time. And, you know, whichever way we vote, it sort of is problematic, but that's where it's that was a loss for everyone. That's what I want to say.
Thank you. And Donna. Hi, yeah, I'm just going to piggyback off what Susan was saying, that I think that I hope this would come back to committee because it really, it wasn't posted well to hear from the public at the meeting and to have a broad conversation. We didn't have any type of a broad conversation. It was just, should this be in? Everybody hates to take this out with nothing about how you're going to not just honor the arts, but figure out, you know, these are not residential spaces. These are manufacturing spaces where people create art. They don't sell art from the places. It's different than what they're doing with the zoning of taking residential places. And we didn't have this kind of a conversation of, if you're going to remove this, maybe everybody thinks that's a great idea. What other options are there? How can people maintain these types of spaces? They're different types of spaces. Once you make it residential, it's no longer the JLWKA unit. It has different, you know, that's primarily a large working space where people create art. And you know, my husband's an artist. We're not in Soho. It's not a JLWQA, but it's a very similar thing. He got the space to create his art with a tiny bit of bedroom through in there illegally at the time, and you know, it got legalized. But we did not have a large conversation, and to just say we're removing this without having a broader conversation, to me, is a real problem. I just wish it would come back to committee so that we could have the right conversation. And I don't understand why Chris did not bring this earlier. Maybe just thought of it at the last minute. I have no idea. But aside from that, you know, I just think it warrants a bigger conversation, just a strike off of an arts fund or, you know, not having the conversion fee. What do you do with all the people? There's all different types of people in here. I have Janine, and then I will call on Valerie.
I just want to share first, I'm the people who's conflicted out because I'm a property in the Soho Special Mixed Use District. First of all, I spoke to Connor like a couple days before Christmas, and we kind of dug this out. I just want to point out that the zoning resolution text is, I think, 1,117 pages. So that's a lot of work, and this is just one of many issues that this council staff is working on. So the fact that they didn't come up with it the first month and this idea, and we came up with it after a meeting, you know, sometimes, you know, there's a lot of work. So I wouldn't, and whether you had enough time to review it or not, I do want to point out that the meeting was properly noticed. Could it have been a better communication job internally? Yes, but in terms of all of our rules, I just want to say it's properly noticed. It was properly noticed. So I do also just want to point out that the language basically says to eliminate the conversion tax in the arts fund. It doesn't say to eliminate 17 class. So that's what the language is that's in the proposal. And I also want to talk about arts funding. I think arts funding is important. If I were the mayor, I would increase taxes and have the highest earners in our city contribute more to fund the most critical services citywide. I also want to point out that in the actual text from the zoning mixed use neighborhood, under the arts fund, it says such allocation should prioritize under-resourced organizations and underserved areas within the neighborhood south of 14th Street. And we heard from somebody tonight that a lot of the governors, but we be sure that it is not must. So this money can technically go anywhere in the city. I have no idea what's going to happen. There was a black tax. I think the governor paid it and a few other people. I don't remember what it stands for, but it basically support manufacturing citywide. That fund kind of just filled 1,500 what happened to that money. So this is not making a decision to, it basically just adds in, if the city passes a revised home occupation rule allowing home occupation, which is the zoning term for essentially live work citywide. CB2, though it's written, CB2 opposes that. However, if it passes, they want to basically have parity and equity with this neighborhood with the rest of the city. Whether you agree with that or not, there is an inconsistency there. So I just wanted to clarify all those points.
Thank you. Okay. I'm sorry. Yes. I'm sorry. This is business session, so only board members may participate. Okay. But Bohan has a chance to speak first. So let me call on him and then I will call on you.
Yeah. Susan, you also have Michael online.
I'm sorry?
You also have Michael online who wants to speak.
Oh, I'm okay. I will, okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Don't see him on that's one.
Thanks. First of all, I have to say that I have to recuse myself because I do own property in Soho and I'm one of the people who was told have to recuse myself. I don't agree with that decision, but I'm not fighting it. I was suggesting maybe that Connor Allerton speak. I know this may be not appropriate at this time, but he knows the ins and outs of the zoning and he knows why Chris Marte suggested this resolution in this way. I agree that it's a little hard to understand. I'm sure that most of the board members who haven't lived and breathed all of this for the last 4 years, as I have, are having trouble understanding what's going on. However, I think it would be horrible if this community board ignored the testimony of how many was it? 50, 75 people who very heartfelt testimony about how this will have very negative impact on them. I've been hearing, and I heard again tonight, incorrect interpretations of what might happen as a result of this zoning and what might happen if people choose to pass their units on or sell them or convert from JLWQA to residential. We can't get into those weeds. Those are very thick weeds. But I think this board should take note of the testimony that they heard tonight and vote Chris Marte's proposal to eliminate this onerous fee. And I don't know if you want to let Connor speak or not,
Okay,
but
if you have a particular point of information that you need clarified, otherwise, no, he should not be participating. He had, that would have been another part of the meeting. And I want to point out, it is now 10 after 9. We do have to keep moving. They turned off the heat and we still have several committees that we have to hear from. So I am going to ask people to.
all right, well, basically, one last question, one last comment I would make again is that we should not get caught up on procedural issues of the board and ignore the testimony of so many people who you've all heard tonight. And I urge the board members to vote Chris Marte's proposal to eliminate these fees.
That is what's on the floor as an amendment. We will finish our discussion. We will vote on whether to include the amendment and then we can vote on the entire.
Call on Michael Levine.
Please, I'm going to call on Valerie because her hand is up and she is next.
I would just like to point out that I believe that this was disingenuously added to the agenda and it riled a lot of people up and it brought a lot of people out to speak about something that should have had a longer lead time. I believe it is being rushed in here and we very well could get to the same conclusion that it is. However, let's do it so that it's by the conflict of interest rules that govern board members, city elected officials. Again, we could very much get to that conclusion, but let's have the larger conversation about arts funding and what would replace it. That's all I have to say.
Michael Levine, please.
Okay, thank you. My understanding from being at the meeting was that we would postpone discussion of Kristen Marte's proposal for another month. It does not have to be attached to the City of Yes zoning proposal. And according to what Connor has said at the meeting, Christopher would introduce it next month, which means the Land Use Committee could consider it at its next meeting and then adopt a resolution based upon everything we heard today and further discussion and support the proposal separate from the City of Yes, but as a separate introduction from the council member. This, I think, is a good idea, and I think this would be a way around the issue we're having now. Let's do the discussion next month. Let's make sure everyone has the opportunity to speak, and we can testify in favor of the proposal next month. It will not be too late at that point for the council member to introduce his proposal at that time, which we would, based upon testimony and discussion, support. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Carter is next, who has not spoken.
Thank you, and thank you, Michael. Michael is also a member of the Land Use Committee. So the topic that was on the calendar is discussion with Council Member Christopher Marte, RA, the City of Yes, for economic opportunity in the Soho NoHo Rezoning Arts Fund. I mean, there's nothing specific. I don't think Cormac can provide anybody here with a presentation that was presented to the committee, so nobody here has any information. One of the points that we learned going through this long process, and when we discuss in our resolution on the Soho NoHo rezoning, is that there's so much complex interplay here between so many different issues, of which this is a subset. And our main driving factor is that, and our objection is that the mayor's plan at that time would eventually eliminate manufacturing use group 17D JLWQA units, which are the defining characteristic of Soho and NoHo. And the mechanism was the underlying issue. The community asked for a way for some people to be able to live there properly who were not. And the city provided an avenue to do that. The Arts Fund
and the conversion fee is simply a small part. I spoke with Councilmember Marte myself, and similar to what Michael had said, I think that we need to properly reconvene with all of our elected officials who represent this area, both council members, our state and elected officials, to properly discuss this, what can be done better here. One of the issues that was not brought up when the zoning text is open is to expand who can be in JLWQA units, which is what the board wanted. What this does, and dealing with this as a one-off, is it will eliminate the use, which was exactly what the board's objection was to the mayor's plan. And it is not something that nobody wants to discuss. Many people do want to discuss it, but it should be done in a comprehensive manner so that we can actually make what has happened better. And the reason, let me just give me 1 second to look through my notes here.
Can I call on Dr. Smith and come back to you?
Sure, yes, that's fine.
Dr. Smith, please.
May I speak up? Edma, speak up after Dr. Smith, please.
No, and I'm sorry, I called on Dr. Smith.
Yes, he wants to be next.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Go ahead, Dr. Smith.
I guess my question is, it seems like I was just listening to what Carter said and also to Michael. That it seems like so many people don't quite understand it. So I guess I know I don't. And maybe the idea of bringing everybody who's involved. Was Marty at the first meeting? Councilmember Marty, did he explain this himself? Did he bring other people with him if you had specific kinds of questions that he could not answer at the meeting? Is my question.
To my knowledge, the only discussion was at the last land use meeting of this subject. If people have a concern, then the motion has to be made to send something back to committee. I don't have that authority. But yeah.
Okay, so then maybe Carter has found his notes. Thank you.
Point of information, go ahead.
Point of information, Councilmember Marte was at the meeting, as was in person, and Connor Allerton was via Zoom, and they were available to answer questions.
Carter, I said I'd go back to him.
Yes, so.
Okay. Yes.
My understanding is that this meeting, which I was not at, was not the only time this matter was discussed, because the board is on record as opposing this fund and opposing the scheme from the NoHo Soho rezoning. So it has been discussed before by the board.
Okay, Carter.
Perfect timing. Under 3J in our long resolution, I will just read the part. We give the reasoning of why we think that the Arts Fund is ill-conceived, and that is because it fails to acknowledge or memorialize the contributions of artists adapting, reusing, and rebuilding Soho and NoHo. Instead, simply creates a non-city source for arts. There's much more to this discussion than simply the removal of this. Our main position is that, and which is what should be addressed in this, is CB2 supports the continued evolution of JLWQA, not its replacement with residential use group 2. Updating and reviewing the definition of artists as defined by the state, administered by DCA, and the inclusion of maker and other live work uses. That was one of the core thrusts of the entire Envision process that we heard over and over. And instead of just one small part, we are leaving this discussion unfinished because we have not revisited it. And if we are going to, we should revisit it as a whole, including all of our electeds in all of the different aspects of what needs to be addressed. This is not a, clearly this issue is a large issue given the testimony to Bo's point, there's a lot of confusion within this, but we should properly discuss this as a whole at a committee meeting with materials in front of us, and so they can be properly considered and that we can weigh in properly as a board. And as such, I'd like to make a motion that this portion of the amendment, but it's an amendment, not the whole package, really should be returned to the committee and placed as an agenda item and have a robust discussion so that we can properly advocate with all of our elected officials to move this forward in a manner that would be better for our whole community. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, yes. Edma, may I speak up, please?
Ed, 1 second, I do have a point of information, so let's clarify this. And I'm just going to point out to everybody, it is almost 9:20. If we do not finish our business, I will have to call another meeting.
It's just a
With
two,
this
just,
information, there's an amendment on the floor, so while you do want to propose something, Carter, you can't do it until we vote on the amendment.
Thank you.
uh,
Okay,
you
she
know,
is correct.
you know,
Before, I will take more discussion of it, but she is correct. We have to first vote on that amendment, then you can vote on deciding to do something with it. Once it's.
you know,
It is not, it's not part of this.
Susan, so
please.
this is, this, they're talking about Soho, NoHo, is very valid, as I see. That time it's Bill Blasio. He has done, it's a done deal for him. NoHo, Soho is a done deal. He, in order to collect developers' money, to fulfill his dream of White House. He didn't get one vote in other states, and everything, because Soho, the territory from North Canal to South Street, is Chinatown part. According to financial statistics, 43% ownership were Asians, and this has no participation. And this is very, very, I think it seems Chris Marta is right, and some people take it is right. The Soho NoHo should be rediscussed, because they are not legally. It's a complete maneuver by former mayor Bill Blasio, and including the Chinatown and anti-jail, the same thing. I myself made a law 1063. You must mandatory to have a public hearing before any capital project. But Bill Blasio, he signed and he violated the law himself. I didn't say anything. This today, the first time I talk this. I made the law, 1063A, mandate public hearing before any capital project. But he just ignored everything. He collected all the yes man of Chinese, said, see, I did ask committee permission. That's afterwards. That's really, it's really, the several speakers, you're right. We should really rediscuss, reschedule, discuss, tell the truth, the true meaning of NoHo Soho. What's this benefit for the local people? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ed. Thank you. Amy.
Very quickly, and perhaps City Council Member Marte, who I believe is on the Zoom call, could confirm this. I believe that we have a small window of opportunity to make a statement on this, but that opportunity ends in February when comments are closed. So that it would, what Carter's saying is maybe it should go back to the committee and have more discussion, but we may lose the ability to have our voice heard if we don't decide on something now. But however, I'm not the expert on this, and it would be great if someone else could confirm this.
Well, our window of opportunity to comment on City of Yes and to submit something is limited. It's at the end of this month. Whether or not this is a part of it, that would be true anyway.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. If we go, this is particularly related to City of Yes. So
well, that is a matter of dispute.
Okay.
All I'm saying is that this is an opportunity because there is text amendments that will be discussed, and that's a question of whether people want to see this discussed as part of that package.
That's right. Yeah. So we can't go.
Okay, I've got,
If you wanted-
okay, I'm going to call on somebody who has not yet spoken. Thank you.
So I just want to also say that I will be recusing from the vote because I'm also a property owner of a JRWQA unit. But I do want to address 2 points. I think Carter had mentioned use group 17D, which is the JLWQA use group. And Janine had also mentioned, there are over 1,000 pages in this proposed zoning text amendment. I do want to point out that in the land use reso for proposal number 6, where we talk about reworking the use group framework, there specifically we say, because we have noticed in the reading of it that use group 17D appeared to not be in the set of use groups that the city is proposing. So we have a statement in here that says additionally, the proposed text does not include use group 17D, JWQA, which would appear to be an error. So we're assuming that we're giving them the benefit of the doubt that it's an error. If, however, this is not an error and the attempt is to eliminate use group 17D, then CB2 is opposed to its removal. So we're definitely on record as saying we want to continue 17D, which is the JRWQ use group. We also want to address the issue of the fee and also in the rezoning amendment and resolution. We address this. We say that the punitive fee, the mayor's fee imposes $100 per square foot conversion fee that is financially punitive, particularly to legally conforming senior citizens who are aging in place and went through considerable hardship to legalize their spaces and buildings under the current zoning laws. In addition, the conversion fee does not mitigate any adverse impact from the mayor's plan in Soho or Chinatown, especially for the elimination of art manufacturing spaces. The mayor's plan would usually allow as of right ground floor retail, department store, and plan on uses and significant increases to commercial FOR at no cost owners. So I do want to address that we have addressed this. As Cormac said, this is not the first time we've discussed this. We've been discussing this since, 2021 before that. So we've been discussing this for quite some time.
I'd like to call the question.
Actually, okay, I'm going, no, we have to move forward because otherwise we are not going, as it is.
One more point of information?
Yes.
So for us putting this language, I'm recusing myself, for us putting this language in the resolution, it allows the possibility of potentially making changes, but it needs to be mentioned in this resolution and not next month. Otherwise, nothing can happen with this because it's part of the economic opportunity thing. So.
Okay. If the vote to call the question is simply to put, so that on the amendment, it doesn't stop. That's all we. Yes. Okay. We have, this is not a point of information anymore. Yeah, I know. It really wasn't a point of information. I'm going to take
I second her, calling the question.
Okay, so that require, and to call the question requires a 2/3 vote. All those in favor?
Voting on,
Opposed?
what are we voting on?
Calling the question.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Dr. Smith, please say that again.
I said, calling, what are we voting on when it's time
We
to
are
vote?
voting on
Clarify.
to put the language in those last 2 lines of number 11 back into the resolution. That's what the amendment is for.
Thank you.
Okay, so I had 1 opposed. It's for calling the question. That's all that is a vote to call the question. Okay, and on the amendment. Okay, that passes. Now therefore, we can vote whether or not to include the amendment. All those in favor? And those who are opposed? Okay, it is split. I'm going to ask for a roll call because it is too close to call. This is voting. This is voting to insert the amendment into the text of the resolution. That's it. Please, Amy.
Okay. Aaron? Sorry, okay.
We don't, yeah, we
Ashley?
can't hear. Excuse me, can she repeat the vote? We can't hear it online.
Aaron, yes. Ashley? It is on. Yes. Ganesh? Yes. Booth?
Hi, I'm in my community board.
No.
meeting. I can call you back.
Grant? Yes. Sorry. I skipped you, Katie. I'm sorry.
I'm going to abstain.
Abstain. Okay, everybody heard that. Amy, yes. Brenna, sorry. Cacapolo,
Yes.
yes. Chatry,
Yes.
De La Rosa,
No.
no. Dignas, no. Mar Fitzgerald, yes. Stella Fitzgerald, abstain. No, sorry, okay. Yes, I know, I'm just, this is acting up a little bit, okay? Flynn,
Yeah.
yes. Gammy, yes. Gruber,
Yes.
yes. Hager,
Yes.
yes. Kent, yes. Kessler, no. Kylie,
Yeah.
recuse, you're a recusal. Yes, I know why. Yes, I know why. Property owner. Clonars,
Yes.
yes. Laura, Haria. Yes. Levine,
No.
no. Ma,
Yes.
yes. Metzger. Abstain. Okay. Miller,
Yes.
yes. Olson. No. Okay. Pape,
Yes.
yes. Raftery, no. Rakoff, yes. Riccobono, I know why, recuse, you told us. Roberts,
No.
no. Sands, no. Secunda,
Yes.
yes. Jay,
Yes.
yes. Siegel, yes. Smith, Emma Smith, abstain. Dr. Shirley Smith,
Abstain.
abstain. Spence,
Yes.
yes. Wittenberg, no. Wong, no. You're recusing, right? Okay, I'm having trouble with this. I don't have the numbers yet. I will give me 1 second, okay? Because this is acting up.
We need somebody to know what we're talking about, actually,
It passes.
but it passed. Okay, okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
I have 23.
Okay, 23 and what out of how
It's a
many?
yes.
It is a yes, okay.
23 out of yes, but that.
How many are no?
Yeah, and that include, and the no's, remember abstentions are no's.
Okay. Third, no,
That's-
okay, 1, 2.
An abstention is like a soft no, because in order for something to pass, you must have a majority of yeses. So whatever is not a yes, aside from.
But don't be abstention lower your denominator.
No, only a recusal lowers your denominator.
13 to 20.
Okay. It is 13 to 23, so yes, the amendment is now part of the text.
23 yes and 13.
No, no, and abstentions. Okay, I'm doing,
sorry?
okay, well,
What did she say?
I'm doing.
We can do a double count, but it passed. Okay.
Well, I don't know. Okay, just, would you let me, I'm putting it, this is acting up. My spreadsheet is acting up, okay?
Okay.
All right,
Okay. Okay, we now have a resolution that includes this. Can I move for a vote on the resolution? No.
You want me to present it? Want me to present it?
Okay. Okay. If you want to discuss the resolution, we can discuss the resolution further. Yes, Will. But I need a microphone, please.
Thank you. So, while I voted yes for the amendment, I think I'm gonna be voting against our overall resolution on this because it's a shame we didn't have much time to talk about it tonight, but I think there are a lot of interesting proposals within the City of Yes proposal. I think it probably would have been a better approach to take certain things and call them out and say we were in favor of them, rather than necessarily saying no to everything. As many people know, I care very deeply about sustainability and environmental issues. There's some really interesting aspects that tie into that. We don't have time to go into it tonight. So for that reason, I'm going to go ahead and vote no to saying no to the overall proposal, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah. Will is correct. We have not discussed any of the other elements of the resolution. My error in rushing to it. So please go ahead.
Yeah, and I'll try to make it quick. I agree with Will. I think just, this is overall a very good zoning text amendment proposal to update this regime from the early 60s and address the fact that we have to be economically vibrant, especially post-COVID. There's a lot of things we care about this community, like vacant storefronts, for example, deliveries. There's a lot of outdated issues that this zoning text amendment rationalizes. I think economic opportunity is good and should pass, and so I'll be voting no on the resolution. Thanks.
Anyone else want to discuss other components of the resolution?
Who just spoke? Those of us online don't know who just spoke.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. That was Ryder?
Thank you.
And before that, it was Will Menish? Does anyone have anything they'd like to discuss on the other elements of the resolution? Okay, seeing none, I will call for a vote on the resolution as a whole as amended. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
I do, okay.
we're going to do a roll call.
No, a minute.
Let's do a roll call.
Let's see what happens first. All those opposed?
No,
No.
Okay, oh, maybe we do need a roll call on that.
We need
Okay.
a roll call.
but I will do. Okay.
Yeah, correct.
Yes, we understand that.
Okay. The resolution as a whole votes no based on all of the breakdowns that you see in front of you. If you vote no on, well, if you vote no on this, we then would have to develop something. Otherwise, we have no position. Okay. Go ahead, Amy.
Okay, sorry about my malfunctioning spreadsheet here. Aaron? No. Asqui? No. Benish? No. Booth? Just pick one, Carter. Just pick one.
He's
Yes.
all of a sudden.
What was Carter's vote?
Yes, he said yes. Fortinaro?
Yes.
Yes. Brandt? You're abstaining. Okay. Amy Brenna, no. Pecapolo,
I'm gonna vote yes.
yes. Chattree,
No.
no. De La Rosa,
Delarosa, no.
sorry. No. Dignas,
No.
no. Mar Fitzgerald, yes. Stella Fitzgerald, Flynn,
Yes.
What did Stella vote? I didn't hear. We didn't hear.
yes. She voted yes. Flynn voted yes. Gammy, yes. Gruber,
Yes.
yes. Hager,
Yes.
yes. Kent,
Yes.
yes. Kent is yes. Kessler,
No.
no. Kylie. Recuse, sorry. Connors,
Yes.
yes. Laria, yes. Okay. Levine,
Yes.
yes. Ma, okay. Metzger,
No.
no. Miller,
Yes.
yes. Paulson, no. Pape. Moran. Yes or no? Yes, yes. Raftery, yes. Rakoff, yes. Riccobono, oh, recuse, sorry. Roberts,
No.
no. Sands, no. Secunda,
Yes.
yes. Shay,
Yes.
yes. Siegel, yes. Emma Smith, no. Dr. Shirley Smith,
No.
no. Spence,
Yes.
yes. Wittenberg, yes. Wong, yes. You is recused, right?
Yeah.
Got it. Brandt? You did. Oh, you want to change it to what? Yes?
Okay, it's
Yeah.
still open. Yes, you can.
Yes, you can. Okay. All right, hold on. This is not working. All right, okay.
17.
I'm
Oh.
not the official taker here.
Yes,
Sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm having trouble with the spreadsheet. It's not working all of a sudden. That's okay. Okay. Gonna switch to paper for the next one. Yeah. Sorry. All right. Right.
Mark, did you get a count on that?
I have 22, 13, 1, 3. Is that consistent with, I was on the phone with Mr. Moss, so.
Hold on, I'm almost done. Sorry.
23.
I have 24 yes. And 14 no's, 3 recusals.
Okay.
One abstention.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so it does pass. Okay. Now we get to talk about 388 Hudson. No, it hasn't actually been presented yet. Katie? Please?
Thank you. Thank you, Susan. on January 10th, HPD came to the Land Use Committee in this infamous meeting, and presented an oral slideshow, and orally went through the community visioning report with us. I believe the report will be available on their website soon. I haven't seen if it's up there or not yet. We've written many resolutions on this topic, and therefore be it resolved that I'm going to abbreviate it, that we are very disappointed that they have not focused on the recreation facility that we want on the first to third floors of this building. So we're underscoring that disappointment. We also are disappointed not to hear more about innovative design and things that would complement our neighborhoods, all the surrounding neighborhoods, and that we also are very concerned about the interplay between the housing site and the DEP water tower site, and we have some ideas generated by one of the architects on our committee about being more imaginative on that facade so that we could get more housing. Of course, the whole idea is to maximize the floor, the FAR, and to maximize the amount of affordable housing that's available. We do also want to reserve the right to make further comments, and so therefore, this resolution was passed unanimously by the committee, with no recusals necessary.
Okay.
Into the mic.
I would like to propose what I hope is a easy amendment. I would like to add in the first line of the third, therefore be it resolved, that the footprint, whoops, sorry. Hard to hold my microphone and, Manhattan Community Board 2 continues to ask the city to build on the entire footprint of the 388 Hudson housing site and eliminate the currently proposed setback of approximately 10 feet on the south side of the lot. This is what we discussed at, well, actually, that's it. Put that in the chat.
Okay, is there any discussion of that amendment? Okay, so first we needed a second on the amendment, and we have a second. Now we can discuss. Yes.
Can we have, who's speaking, and can they have a mic? No
Anita.
one can hear.
I'm sorry, I see you. You don't see me?
No.
Could you direct us to which paragraph it gets repeated twice in 3 and 4 about an exceptional, 2 and 3 about an exceptional site for an exceptional use? It's repeated twice, Katie.
Yes, it is removed in the final version. This is the Google Word problem.
Okay.
So thank you, Anita.
Thank you. Okay, I have, there's an amendment on the floor. Any discussion of it? Seeing none, I will vote. All those in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Recusals? Okay, so the amendment, now we have the whole resolution. Any discussion of the whole resolution? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, Ryder Kessler is abstaining and Chris Dignas is abstaining. Oh, you said no. I'm my apologies. We have 1 no from Chris Dignas. We have 1 abstention from Ryder Kessler, and Rocio Sands is also abstaining. Let me just make, okay, well, it passes. Did you record? I just want to make sure it's recorded properly. You have 2 no, you have a no from Dignas, no, and Sands was also abstain. Okay, it passes.
And
Street
did we,
activities.
Susan, did we,
Yes.
did we pass the December resolution?
There is no set, there's one resolution, and that is the city, that what was voted on first.
Okay, I just want to make sure. It's been a little confusing.
Never thought.
Yeah, all right. So our meeting was very short. We had 4 resolutions and several FYI renewals. I'm just gonna keep it short. The first one was D'Amico's on Mulberry. That was unanimous approved. It's already happened. Number 2 is Moma Boating Event. Also, that was unanimous deny no show. Number 3 is the bespoke sidewalk activation, January 25th. Canal between Broadway and West Broadway and 6th. Unanimous approved. 4 is Dial Fromage Grilled Cheese Samples, January 25th. Broadway between Canal and Howard. Unanimous deny as they wanted to set up in the right turn lane there from Broadway into Canal, and that is a no-go. 5 is a layover, unanimous. FYI renewals, 6 through 11 unanimous approval. That's it.
Does anyone want to discuss any of those items? Okay, seeing none, I will take them as a block. So you're voting on 1 through 4, and then 1 through 5, and then the renewals of 6 through 11. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those against?
Aye.
I'm sorry, I heard. Okay, is anybody against? No. Abstentions, recusals? On number 3.
可以了，现在可以了。
Okay, yes, I'm correct. You do have to state your reason.
妈妈，不要去弄了。
You have that note?
不要弄了，你叫人家讨厌。我是
Someone has to silence him, mute him. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, then we're ready to go to SLA.
Okay, so, ready? Okay. SLA 111 applications, 4 resolutions, all decisions were unanimous. APA LLC doing business as Berlita, 227 Mulberry, Tavern Wine, previously unlicensed, deny unless with stipulations being adhered to. Icus Corp doing business as Old Fashioned Cafe, 110 Thompson Street, on-premise restaurant. This was for a change in method of operation. This was a deny unanimous. Ross Plant Based LLC doing business as Ross Plant Based, 170 Bleecker, on-premise restaurant transfer, deny unless with stipulations being adhered to. And then Cabacera Cafe doing business Cabacera, 261, 267 Canal Street and the Canal Street Market Stall. That was denied unless with stipulations. The appearance was waived. One principal stepped off. The principal that remained was the one that signed our stipulations. So items 5 through 11 are all layovers.
Okay, does anybody want to discuss any of those items? Okay, seeing none, I will take a vote on 1 through. Yes. Oh. Thank you. I will take a vote on it's 1 through 4 and then 5 through 11 of the layovers. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes, Rocio. Sands is opposed on number 2. Abstentions? Okay, we have all, Metzger will abstain on all. Okay, he's abstaining on 1 through 4, and any recusals? Okay, now SLA 2.
Okay, we had 9 applications and 5 resolutions. Cook Burger and Bar, LLC at 47 7th Avenue South, also known as 13 Morton. That's an on-premise for a restaurant, deny unless with stipulations being adhered to, unanimous. Zandra Hospitality doing business as Cabin, 300 Spring Street, on-premise for a bar tavern, transfer, deny unless with stipulations being adhered to, that was unanimous. West 10 West LLC, 242 West 10th Street, new on-premise for restaurant. It's a class change. They have a restaurant 1 right now. That was deny that was a deny. And that's 7 in favor and 1 against. Ammo Restaurant Corp., 15 East 12th Street, on premise for restaurant, that was a transfer, deny unless with stipulations being adhered to, that was unanimous. And then Babby Restaurant, 282 Bleecker, was a restaurant wine. They showed up as new business finally, and that was deny unless with stipulations being adhered to, unanimous. And items 6 through 9 are either layovers or withdrawals.
Okay. Does anyone want to discuss any of the items that were mentioned? Seeing none. Okay, I will take a vote now on 1 through 5 and then lay over 6 through 9. All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstentions, recusals? Okay, we have abstentions, Metzger, 1 through 5, abstaining. Okay, that's it. Thank you. Next item is the cannabis.
Hi, Patricia Larry, Vice Chair of Cannabis Licensing Committee. Martha Fitzgerald recused from her regular duties as CLC Chair because applicant number 4 is a relative. We had 5 items on the agenda this month. Item number 1, Rosebud Cafe LLC, 37 Cornelia Street. Rachel Katz was returned to committee after full board so that we might better address proximity compliance regarding church and school close to the proposed premises. Unfortunately, we have inadvertently missed the deadline to comment on that application due to a typo in our database. However, the wonderful work Carter did to update the resolution provided the necessary documentation to confirm that premises is non-compliant. Due to a typo in our okay, the applicant did appear to propose a new location that the CLC could not review because proper notice was not given. The updated resolution was adopted. Number 2, Pramuk. Oh, okay.
That's what I have. Do you have them in a different order possibly? It may just be in a different order.
All right, okay. Okay, all right, Pramuk LLC, Mott Street, Nitin Patel, and okay, did not respond. Did not respond to outreach. Additionally, the location is currently operating as a suspected illicit cannabis shop, which is not reflected in the resolution, but we would like to amend it now to add that information. That was a deny. Okay. Number 2. Okay, hold on. Number 2, Di Mai, doing business as Flower Guys, 248 West 14th Street. Hold on.
Also a no response. It was also a no response.
Oh, yeah, that would help. Yeah, all right. So the one on Mott Street, Pramuk 202 Mott Street, Nitin Patel did not respond to outreach. Additionally, the location, I said that one. The other one is Daimai LLC doing business as Flower Guys, 248 West 14th. Timothy Lee only responded to outreach the day before the meeting to say he planned to withdraw due to possible licensed dispensary across the street in CB4, but we didn't receive an official withdrawal, so that was a deny. The remaining applicants were in attendance, and the CLC has reviewed their submitted questionnaires and interviewed them. Number 4, High Profile Holdings LLC doing business as the Flowery, 388 West Street, Dorian Harrington. And number 5, Jack Luber, Appleseed Farms Corp. doing business as Cousin Mary's, 22 Little West 12th. Both were deny and less.
And Rosebud Cafe.
Oh, and Rosebud Cafe. That one was a deny.
Okay. Does any?
I see a question.
Okay. Yes, but I was going to say, do you want to call any of these out specifically, or you have a question? Yes. Okay, we cannot hear you.
Oh, Kopi, thank you. Can you please, can the chair of this committee please tell us what the relationship is to number 4? I see that the application in the beginning has, the report talks about conflict of interest board but she doesn't say what the relationship is with the applicant number 4. That's one question, but I have other questions and comments that I would like to make in general regarding this committee and how it's being handled. May I proceed?
Yeah, a relative. It's
A relative, it says a relative, but,
that's the relationship. It's a cousin, that's it.
okay.
Actually, it does,
Is that?
The abundance of caution.
Yeah, okay. I noticed that this is the first time that the chair has recused from all the applications, whether they have an impact on her particular conflict or not. But for transparency, total transparency, I have a few questions I would like to ask the chair of the Cannabis Committee regarding her chairing of said committee. From the community board website says, quote, the community board to Cannabis Licensing Committee, CLC, seeks to support the success of cannabis business that contribute to the district's economic development and cultural diversity. In doing so, the CLC works to facilitate such businesses' ability to preserve and enhance the quality of life experienced by the district's residents. Under the Marijuana Regulation and Taxation Act, MRTA, community boards in New York City are responsible for advising the Office of Cannabis Management, OCM, and Cannabis Control Board, CCB, with respect to applications for new licenses to sell cannabis products for on-premises and off-premises consumption, as well as license renewals, transfers, alterations, corporate changes, and methods of operation.
I have a question.
Yes, I have a lot of questions, but let me finish because this is part of the community board website information. I'm reading it for the context that I will be further discussing. So please let me continue.
Okay,
Thank you. Although the community board does not make the final decisions on licensing, the recommendations carry significant weight in the OCM CB review. So what we do here carries a lot of weight. Now, did the chair of this committee have anything to do with the writing of the statement on behalf of the committee for the CB2 website? That's one question.
yes.
Further, combining the language of the community board website with her position as chair of the licensing cannabis committee on our board and regularly promoting herself as a private consultant, principal of the Highline Community Consultant Firm for hire before community boards on LinkedIn, YouTube channel, and other social media platforms, and on webinars on the internet to teach applicants how to navigate the application process is clearly a conflict where you consult with the applicant seeking approval for the cannabis dispensary licenses in front of our board or on other boards. The mere presence and reputation is enough to assure the client's approval that their applications will be approved in other community boards. Have you received a waiver from the Conflict of Interest Board to state that you can be chair of that committee? Even if you recuse yourself from the votes on our board, this can be perceived as a conflict. At the end of the day, the rule is you cannot chair the committee and be in the same business.
Lucio, I'm sorry, I just want to point out, whether or not there's a determination is not for us to make. It is if you would like to discuss a conflict of interest matter, that is separate from the resolutions that are on the floor. I would like to take a vote on those items, okay? If you want to put this if you want to put this on the agenda for a future discussion, that's another story. But right now, what we're really discussing are these resolutions that are on the floor. That's what we have. So I would like to take, if anybody wants to discuss any of the items that were presented, now's the time. If not, I will take, yes.
She said that.
She did say that.
And we added the amendment.
That's okay. If there's no objection,
I'd like to address it.
we have to vote on these items first.
Okay.
If there's all those in favor,
Aye.
opposed?
Aye.
Okay, we've got some okay, Rasands is voting no on all of them? On all of them.
And I'm recusing.
And Mark Fitzgerald is recusing herself on which one?
Recuse on all, just to be safe.
Okay, I have it. Thank you.
I'd like to vote no on 4.
And Hager is voting no on 4. It's not, if it's, you have no relationship to only to one and yet you're recusing on all of them. Or are you abstaining on the others?
You know what? I'm gonna abstain on I'm gonna recuse on everything just to be safe for the overall meeting, since I didn't chair for that reason the entire.
Okay,
meeting.
that's how we will record it.
Yeah.
For your request. Okay, and Matt Metzger is a recusal on all. It's because of his employment. That was Ryder Kessler is abstaining on all. Is abstaining on all. Okay, they pass.
May I, Madam Chair?
Please briefly, if this is a discussion you want to have, that is fine, but I need to put it on an agenda.
I didn't have a discussion.
Well, we don't have time to have a discussion
Right.
because if we do not finish our business, I will call another special session because we are running out of time. And if you want to have a meaningful discussion that isn't truncated by the clock, that's what you owe the board. Therefore, I'm going to ask you to delay this and we will put this on an agenda for next month. How's that?
I would like to quickly.
Okay, I will give you 2 minutes to respond, but please remember, we still have to finish our work.
I cannot discuss any other activities that I may perform outside of CB2 due to my rock solid agreement with COIB, which was vetted before any of those possibly questionable activities or activities that were questioned at this meeting even began. So rock solid agreement with the Conflict of Interest Board of New York, who I keep in close contact with. So thank you.
As I said, we can certainly reach out.
I asked if there was a waiver.
I do not have the information. I cannot comment on it. If this is something, again, if you want to discuss any of these types of issues, we can put them on an agenda. But right now, let's.
What?
Well, okay, please, okay, the next item is the resolution regarding the World Trade Center Youth Cohort. Susanna, since you brought it to executive, if you'd like to present it.
Do you want to need the mic down?
This, Katie, you'll correct me if I butcher this. Katie brought our attention to an effort that's being done in Lower Manhattan. CB's 3 and 1 had already written resolutions in support of efforts to bolster the World Trade Center Health Program Youth Research Cohort. The interest in this is to have a research cohort of people who were 21 or younger at the time of 9/11, because the federal government and this fund monitors people for health effects that might have been due to the fires and the toxic smoke and all that kind of stuff. We heard from a representative who was proposing this. We wrote essentially a duplicate resolution. It's a very long resolution. It's not one that I would write normally. So that's why I'm summarizing it here. But essentially, we are supporting all the outreach efforts that would enable us to have a strong sample in the WTC Health Program Youth Research Cohort, which means supporting funding that would allow for outreach workers and digital data collection and that sort of thing. Is that fair, Katie?
That's good. I just would like to remind or point out to members of the community board that this community board has long been active in this kind of work. Ann Arlen, former chair of the environmental committee, and Ellen Peterson Lewis, public member of that committee, were at the forefront of getting this kind of outreach and getting more survivors coverage. So thank you.
Okay, and I encourage anyone who's interested in this to read the whole resolution, which obviously has a lot more information than I'm giving you now. Susan, you have a question? Well, wait for a mic, just wait for a microphone.
Would the area of qualification for youth to be part of this be identical to the 9/11 compensation?
The area for
which ends at Canal Street?
I will, the thing, what makes it of particular interest to us is that we're looking at a northern border of 14th Street, so that it would include people within our district, which had not been included in earlier studies. That's what makes it of particular interest to us and particularly relevant.
That's really great to hear for a number of reasons. Great.
Okay. Great. Is there anything else anyone wants to discuss or I'm sorry, we have on the screen. I'm sorry. Oh, yes, Dr. Smith.
Can you, it sounds like a great idea. How are you planning on recruiting?
Shirley,
I have no idea how they're planning on recruiting people. I think
I can tell her quick. I can give her 2 sentences.
You have to contact the funds, who's ever doing this.
There is already a way to be added to this cohort. What this resolution supports is, I guess it would be federal funding that would pay for methods to improve the outreach, to increase outreach.
Okay, if there's nothing else, I will take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions, recusals, it passes. And motion to adjourn. I'm sorry, she is right. The last one has to be a roll call. My mistake.
Also, Katie, we'll talk about it privately.
Getting his
okay?
wish.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Please, we're so close.
Aaron, yes. Asqui? Yes. But it's yes. Benish? Yes. For Booth?
Yeah.
Ordinaro?
Yes.
Yes. Brandt? Brenna, yes. Hold on, I'm moving over here. Okay. Peccapola?
Yes.
Yes. Chattree?
Yes.
Yes. De La Rosa? Yeah. Yes. Dignas? Yes. Mar Fitzgerald? Mar? Yes. Stella Fitzgerald? Yes. Flynn? Yes. Gamey? Yes. Gruber? Yes. Hager?
Yes.
Yes. Kent? Yes. Kessler? Yes. Kylie? Yes. Clonars?
Yes.
Yes. Laria? Yes. Levine?
Yes.
Yes. Ma. Ma. Metzger. Yes. Miller.
Yes.
Yes. Olson. Yes. Pip. Ryan. Brian. Yes. Raftery. Yes. Rakoff. Yes. Crocabono. Yes. Roberts. Yes. Sands. Yes. Secunda. Secunda. Shay.
Yes.
Yes. Siegel. Yes. Emma Smith. Yes. Dr. Shirley Smith.
Yes.
Yes. Spence.
Yes.
Yes. Is that a yes? Windberg.
Yes.
Wong. Yes. You. Yes. Thank you, everybody. And it's, what is he? Well, we're done. We've got the vote. Are you good? I will wait for his vote. I'm not leaving. Let me know when you have it. Hmm? You should give that to Mark. Thank you, though. It's good to see you.
Do we make a motion to
Yes,
adjourn
yes.
now? Is that what we should do?
Excuse me, Susan. Did we adjourn? We're adjourned. Thank you.
The meeting is adjourned.